I'll call this. Seriously? I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up. I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
Objection. Objection.
I will fuck you up. KO. I will fuck you up.
𝗵𝗂𝗄𝗧. 𝗵𝗂𝗄𝗧. Trooper 𝗵𝗂𝗄𝗧. 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 Trooper 𝗵𝗂𝗄𝗧. 𝗵𝗂𝗄𝗧.
My name is Aidan Kearney, also known as Turtleboy.
He is a senior editor for Turtleboy Daily News.
I'm a big fan.
We've broken hundreds of stories that the mainstream media won't touch.
Some blogger in Massachusetts who's getting to the bottom of this better than anybody.
Why is it Turtleboy that is covering such important issues? Where is the rest of the media?
You did not say that you were gonna take my baby out of revenge and make him a transgender baby.
Stop it.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I know you do.
People don't like the things that I say and want me to stop saying them, but I won't. I'm never going to stop. These are the kind of stories that must be told.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Boys, go baby, we bringing our toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this, so it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time.
Tick, tick, boom.
Boom. What's up, turtle people? How's everybody doing out there tonight? Good? Good? Excellent. Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aidan Kearney. I am your fearless host around these parts. You could call me Clarence Woods Emerson. That's what I'm known as on Facebook. Follow me on there. I do a live from the bus stop every morning when there's school. So yeah, follow me on there. You can call me Uncle Turtleboy. Sorry. That's what the old school turtle riders have been known to call me over the years. You can call me that. I prefer doctor, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, because if Jill Biden gets to be a doctor, then so do I. So you can call me doc, doctor, whatever. I actually prefer it. Or you can call me daddy. I will allow that if you'd like to do that. Some even go with journalism Jesus. I don't care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. sharp. And make sure you smash that subscribe button. Like, how many people we got watching right now? We got 2,431 on YouTube. Do we have anyone on? We got 113 on Rumble Rats, but I see 0 comments over there. So if you're on YouTube right now, smash that subscribe button. Because like I said, it's like 2,500 of you people on there. And like, I'm surprised how many people watch and just don't hit the subscribe button. Do it right now. Let me just, right now we're at 101,470. But we added like 1,000 Turtle Riders in like one episode. Because you just never know who hasn't hit the subscribe button. But go ahead, smash the, if you haven't done it already, give us a smash. I'm going to refresh this. We're at 101,470. Then I'm going to renew it, and it's at 474. So that we got 4 new subscribers. Do it again. Do it again. Can we get up to 101,500? I feel like that's not that big of an ass. Like, I bet you there's 26 people watching right now of the 2,700 people on YouTube. I bet you 1% of you haven't hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Give us a sub. We got 78 now. We're getting up there. We're getting up there. And give us a like button afterwards. Give us a big thumbs up. Leave a comment. All that fun shit. All right. Hook it up. And we'll have a great time. But let me refresh it one more time. I won't do it all night. Oh, 485. Just like that. Just like that. We got 9 more people. Give us your DNA. I'll get right on that. Okay. Yeah, Plevin is not. Yeah, no way he's giving me a sub. I know that motherfucker wouldn't subscribe to me. I had a feeling. That dirty mofo. Oh, we're up to 490. We only have 10 left, folks. 10 left. Yeah. Anyway, so here's the deal. Tonight on the show, we're gonna watch. We're gonna read the Vanity Fair article as a class, and then we're gonna listen to this podcast that I was in. 34 Fairview Road, which, if I'm being perfectly honest right now, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm going to explain why. See, I'm in it. I signed a contract to be in it, so I'm not going to badmouth it. I will give my opinion on it. Like, I'm free to, I'm unrestricted. I can be like, I think this is wrong. I disagree with this, blah, 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 blah. Because I could quit. Like, that's one option, is be like, I could quit. Or I could stick around and still have my voice heard. And I like that option more. I think that's a better option for everyone. But anyway, if you guys want to have your messages read out loud to the class, you can pay for the service. You can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat. You can give whatever amount of money you want. And when you do that, you get to write a message. I will receive that message in my inbox here, and I will read that message out loud to the class. Yes, it did turn out differently than I anticipated. That's for sure. I mean, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I think that interview did not go well. I think we can all agree with that. And a lot of you people were like, I don't like the sounds of this. And you were right. So far. I mean, it's only 2 episodes in, but you know what? Free speech. I have the right to criticize it, even a project that I'm a part of. Like, I could abandon it. And I mean, let's be honest. It's like, if I wasn't on it, I don't think anyone would be listening to it. So here we are. Anyway. Okay. So let me, I'm going to refresh it one more time. Come on, hook it up. Oh, what? 499. We need one more person, one more sub, and we couldn't do it. And that's all we take. That's all we need. I'm going to refresh it. Give me one more sub. 499. Come on, hook it up, brother. Hook it up. One more sub. 500. We got it. Okay, good. All right. I can go to sleep easy tonight. All right. Anyway, guys, let me read some turtle chats to start the evening. See if we have any. Again, the link is at the top for Turtle Chat. Lisa sends $10 and goes, looking forward to seeing part 2 of Vanity Fair when they give you the well-deserved recognition. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, man. So thank you, Lisa. That comes out tomorrow. And I was impressed with this reporter. You know, like I've met, like I get, oh, and keep me updated on the World Series. Fuck the Yankees, by the way. I don't even watch baseball anymore, but I will always hate the Yankees. And so if they lose, that's a good thing. Keep me updated. Oh, so they're losing. They're asking to get swept, huh? That's great. Love to see it. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. You know, I did that Boston Magazine story last year. I allowed Gretchen freaking Voss into my house, and I thought she seemed favorable. But little did I know, Gretchen Voss just wanted to be accepted. You know, she just wanted to be like, she was so easy. All it takes to win Gretchen Voss over are some burgers or some mushrooms. And if you got both, that's even better, because apparently that's all it takes. Because David Traub offered to take her out for a burger, according to the FOIA we did for his emails. And 𝗃𝗃 took her out for some shrooms. I mean, that's that. Oh, and by the way, you know how I broke that news on this? I didn't, that wasn't reported anywhere but here on the show. So I remember now. Not only did she tell me that, remember in 𝗃𝗃's phone or in Fake Victim's phone, how the messages with 𝗃𝗃 just stop on December 14th? They just abruptly stop. It was in there. So Fake Victim has like a one-sided conversation with herself. It was in those messages, like after December 14th, when she said the thing about, oh, I did shrooms with Gretchen. She said that. I mean, she's 𝗃𝗃, so she could just be lying. Like, that's freaking wild if she's doing shrooms with Gretchen. But Gretchen's also like low class, man. Like low class. But, you know, I did shrooms once in college, my sophomore year of college, because it was the thing to do at the time. And never again, dude. Never again. I did, I think I got a bad batch of mushrooms or something, because I was like tripping balls, and it wasn't fun. It was it was fun at first. It was like a roller coaster. It was awesome at first, actually. You felt real drunk at first. It's like, oh man, this is fun as shit. Woo, you know. But then after a while, it lasts a long time. It lasts a long time because it's food, you know. And you're just, by the end of the trip, I'm just like, bro, I can't. It's never gonna end. It's never gonna end. And I was like, I did it with 2 other people, and we just all had to separate. I'm like, I can't be around you anymore. Whoa, we all agreed. We all just went in different directions in the middle of Southwest at UMass. We just, whoa, see you later. I can't be. It was just like, bro, it was the worst. I'm like, never again am I doing mushrooms. It took up the whole freaking day. It's like the whole day you're on mushrooms. It's fucking horrible. I'll never do it again. I never did ecstasy. That was a really popular thing when I was, I had a lot of friends that did it. I never did it. I just don't like chemicals and shit. It's like, I don't like that. I didn't try. And I'm not into club music. Everybody that was into 13 Kegs is into it, I guess. Is like, people that are into like techno music and raves. That's what I imagine ecstasy. I'm like, and don't get me wrong. Everybody on it who seems like they're having a great time. But I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Stick to marijuana. Never did me wrong. You know what I mean? Never did me wrong. All right. Anyway, so yeah, Vanity Fair tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to the article. I think it's going to be good. It's Julie Miller I could just get the vibe from her. She was an excellent reporter. And I know she's going to, it's great. And we're going to talk all about her article shortly and what I liked about it. So shout out to Julie Miller. Okay. Let me refresh this, because you know what Julie did? She actually looked for new shit, looked for new people to speak to. Didn't just take a narrative. Gretchen was so eager to please and so eager to it was just laziness, the Colin Albert text message. She used that as that was her proof that Colin wasn't in the house, was that text message. Bro, give me a break. Which, by the way, I've been thinking about. So Karen's got this whole civil suit thing going on. You guys been following that? They're trying to sue her. Well, they are suing her. And they want to depose her. And Karen's attorneys, her civil attorneys, who you don't even know anything about, and I couldn't pick him out of a crowd either. They are trying to prevent her from being deposed because she has Fifth Amendment rights, and the O'Keefe's attorneys are saying that she gave up her Fifth Amendment rights because she spoke publicly, which I've never heard of that before. Like, that would be a whole different, like, that would be insane if that actually happened, right? So, the Yankees hit a grand slam. Fuck. Anyway, what was I saying before I got distracted by that? I forget. Shrooms taste like ass. Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. Anyway, I'm going to go back to reading the turtle chats here. Robin sends $25, goes, early on, I remember hearing something about John was celebrating because his adopted daughter had been accepted to a private school, but John didn't want the kids to grow up as Canton High School. Is that true? Yes. Because if that is true and the O'Keefe family talk about how everything they do is for John, then why are they doing one thing that John was passionate about, and that was for his kids to get out of Canton? You know, I don't want to really go there too much because I don't really know. I'm not going to put words in their mouths. Oh, that's right. Talk about the, thank you. The civil suit. I'm going to keep that up there in case I don't forget this. Okay. But I don't really want to go there because it's like, you know, for all we know, the girl changed her mind and the girl wants to go to Canton High School, or maybe she didn't like wearing a uniform every day. You know, you never know. You never know. So I don't really want to go there. But it is interesting how, you know, the fact that I was shocked when I saw at first that the McAlberts are like allowed around those kids. But then I realized like Peggy O'Keefe is just a McAlbert in training, a deputized McAlbert. And that's all. Again, Peggy O'Keefe has said a grand total of 2 words since this started outside the courthouse. Those words were, "Where's Lindsay?" So the people who are crying about how the Turtleboy is turning this into a circus and Turtleboy is the real, all these protesters, they're out having a good time and barbecuing. Bitch, Paul and Peggy, you brought like a skank ass hoe. Like what Friday Night Delight, like to like, why would you do that? Why would you do that, Paul? If you're taking this so seriously, what are we doing? Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, the civil suit. So she got the civil suit, and I was thinking about this. If they lose and they still have, and Karen has to do the deposition, after reading this article, I'm like not even worried about anything she'd say in a deposition. Like she's because she's got the truth on her side. All she has to do is just tell the truth. That's it. That's it. And it would open up all sorts of discovery that doesn't have to go through Auntie Bev. Like, and the rules of discovery are a lot less. Like, there's no Rule 17 shit, I believe, in civil lawsuits. So, like, if you want Colin Albert's phone records, and this is one thing I thought of, right? Because like, her argument to be somebody else killed John, right? It wasn't me. So you can't sue me. So it was somebody else. Maybe it was Colin, right? And so maybe they file a motion for Colin's phone, right? And then they get in Colin's phone and they see that somewhere between January 29th and February 20th, him and 𝗟𝗟𝗄𝗏 were texting about John O'Keefe and what happened. And then they're like, that's in the phone records. And then they're like, whoa. But the screenshot that was presented at trial didn't have anything about that. So that would be like proof. And then the feds are like, whoa. That was presented in court. You guys, the Commonwealth presented a screenshot in court of a text message that they knew was fraudulent. Whoa. Now we're talking Fed shit. Now we're talking about like a nationally televised murder trial. So like this could completely blow up in the face of Peggy O'Keefe. And I said this before, and I'll say it again when it first happened. The McAlberts don't want Peggy and Paul O'Keefe to sue. They're like, oh, fuck. They're not happy about this. They don't like this because this is a fact-finding mission now. They don't want a fact-finding mission because Auntie Bev can't save them in Plymouth District Court, or Plymouth Superior Court. I'm just saying. You kids don't text. I think they do. I think, I know them from back in the olden days, but that's true. Paul is being sued by that guy too. So there's that. Okay. Leona Henderson sends $25. Goes, I just want to let you know I have a lot of respect for you, no matter how many times they try and take you down, but it makes you stronger. Love that about you. Well, thank you, Leona. I love that. I love that. That's what you love about me, because that's what I love about me too. Is I will never, ever, give in to these people that want to stop me so bad. It's just not who I am. Not a quitter. You know what I mean? And so they put me in jail for 60 days. I know I keep mentioning that, and I'm always going to mention that because I told you when I went to jail, I'm like, you're never going to hear the end of this from me, and nor should you, because that's pretty badass. Like, most people don't go to jail. I went to jail for a cause I really, really, really believe in. And, we're like, people are like, that's not why you went to jail. You went to jail because you went to that lying whore's house. Whoa. That's not what I was on bail for. I had my bail revoked, and the bail came from covering the Karen Reed case. That's it. She just was like this wild card shit that happened that, they used to have me violate the bail. That's it. Or revoke the bail. So thank you very much, Leona. Next up, we got here. Hind sends $5 and says, hi, Turtleboy. Just wanted to say, in the dark world full of lazy, half-ass reporting, you are a light. Keep up the good work. One question: is the carpeting Karen Reed got from 34 Fairview the original carpeting in the house, or was it the new carpeting from the basement they replaced again? Thanks again. No, it was the new. It was not basement carpeting. It's from other places in the house. All right, they did not take care of that house. Like, look at the fucking lawn. Look at this shit. They have the new homeowner has completely redone the house. Like, they just let that house go to shit. They didn't invest in their property. The pool sucks. Everything sucks. All right. Closet Baby sends $10 and says, keep up the good work, doctor. Just wondering, can I call you daddy? Yes. Closet Baby. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't want to be your daddy. You have a daddy. Please. You can call him that. I'm good. But free Karen Reed and justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Thank you very much. Let's see. Let me refresh that again. I got a bunch of cash apps coming in here. Let me read this. And the cash app, by the way, is $ Uncle Turtleboy. So you can cash at me that way. Okay. Yeah, let me read the cash apps here. Rachel sends $5 and goes, I bet Plevin smells like an old snail trail. I think that's accurate. Thank you. Rich sends $5 and goes, Tomato Face Sean did shrooms with KP yesterday. I don't know. Sean wasn't on shrooms. I don't know. I don't want to talk about 𝗺𝗿𝗄𝗆 asked me about that today when I went on the radio, and I just kept it real simple. I'm just like, it sounds like he was having a bad day, and I just left it at that. I think those were my words. Like, I guess he was having a bad day. I don't fucking know. I don't even. It speaks for itself, and all I'm saying is I made a post. Obviously, it was in response to that without mentioning his name or anything like that, because I'm not trying to start any drama, even though that's what that clearly was. I don't want to do that. I don't want to divide the movement, as they say, right? That's no good. That doesn't do justice for Karen Reed or Sandra Birchmore or John O'Keefe any good. So I just said, I made a post, and I said, look Karen Reed doesn't owe anyone anything, when this is all said and done, I'm sure she'll be very thankful. If she's not thankful after this is all done, then I think it's fair to be like, she sucks. Like, I totally get that. But while this is going on, it's not the time to cash in on thank yous and things from her. You know what I mean? It's like, I have no expectations from Karen Reed right now at all, like none. And I've done obviously more for this cause than anyone. Like as far as like the amount of stories that I've broken in response to this, the angles that I've found, you know, I mean, the crowds outside, like I did that, like, and I'm not sucking my own dick to say that. It's like I literally did that. Like there would not be this without me. If you can't admit that, then you're just a hater. Like I did do that. So like my contribution to this has been pretty substantial, and I don't expect anything in return. Quite frankly, I've already gotten plenty in return from you fine people. Like I've sold a shitload of t-shirts, and I got a whole lot of new Turtle Club memberships. Like I was paid off like from you guys. The people always say Turtleboy was paid off by Kara Reed. No, I was paid off by you people. You people all did me nice. You know what I mean? You hooked it up. So like, and I wasn't even, again, I went into this story. I wasn't looking for this. This is just another story for me. If you've been around before Karen Reed, you know that like every day I would wake up and I would write 2 or 3 stories. And then the live show at the end of the week we'd do like 2 live shows a week, just like we do now, but it would be like a collection of the stories that I covered of the week. Cause there would be more than one. And we'd be like, I'd spend like half an hour on each story. That's how the show would go. And I'd have like 300, 400 live viewers at a time. Like it was much smaller. And I used to make money. I would do a freestyle rap, and I would say, if we can get $200 in the donos, then I'll do a freestyle rap. And that's how I used to make a living doing this. So this was just another story for me. I always do stories like this, nothing this big, right? This, like people have been saying me for years. Like my buddy Ernie's always telling me this. He's like, you're one story away from just cracking it big time. Cause I've had a lot of big stories like that have made pretty big news around here. Like I was somewhat well known prior to this, but not like this. And Ernie always said to me that like, you're gonna like one day it's like there's going to be one story and it's just going to blow you up. And there it was. I just kept going at it. And Karen Reed, that story on April 17th, when I found out about it, was honestly just another day at work. It was just like another story I'm writing. It was a very interesting story, one that's the most compelling I've ever written about, but sometimes it just falls into your lap. You know what I mean? That story it happened, and I investigated it, and it was all the information was out there. It was all in court records and all in court documents. And I just wrote about it, man. And then after part 1, that's when the real investigation began. That's when I started going to Canton and doing tests outside of 34 Fairview Road and knocking on doors in town and getting video from Tom Kelleher's house and seeing what the angle was like, and knocking out the door at 34 Fairview Road and going to D&E Pizza and going down to Town Hall and speaking with Louis Justice and finding Lucky Loughran. Like I did all that. Like that was me. I did all that. None of that would have happened without me. So that's my contribution to this, right? But I also, I've benefited from that as well financially, right? As you should in America. When you do a good thing, you should get paid for that thing. Like that's welcome to capitalism, right? Supply and demand. But I don't expect anything from Karen Reed. Like my compensation comes from other places. I don't expect shit from her. Nothing. And people will say, well, Turtleboy, you were a little salty towards Karen Reed too. I was when I first got out of jail. I was more like depressed, like I missed the old days. Like before I went to jail, I was on regular communication with Karen Reed, as you know, right? And we would talk every day. She described it perfectly on Dateline. Was where we would talk for 20 minutes and just kind of pick each other's brains about, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Blah, 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 blah. Because she's smart and I'm writing the stories. And, I'm interested in when you start brainstorming, you come up with some, ideas, so, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Or she didn't. Oh, sometimes she would say, I didn't think of that before. Like there you go. So anyway, like before jail, that's how things were. And I was kind of like the top dog. And then I get out of jail and I no longer I can't talk to her anymore. and I see people like Nick Rocco on, Court TV, and it's like, that used to be me, and now it's like, am I cancerous because I went to jail and there was a domestic violence allegation? Like, is that how it is? Like that? Because I didn't do shit. I didn't touch anyone, so that would suck. And it's not though. It's not the reason why. So I never took it like too personally or anything like that. I was pissed. I was a little pissed that things weren't the way that they used to be, but I adapted. And, once I got that press pass, I was good. Exactly, David. I'm a journalist. Wait, no, the opposite. The opposite. Get him out of here. Kick him out the club. The opposite of what he said, right? I'm not a fanboy. I'm a journalist, right? And so like that's the way I treated it more. Not that I was a fanboy before I went to jail, but like I just I got that press pass and I still wasn't talking to Karen Reed. And so I would go into court and I wouldn't even, sometimes I wouldn't even make eye contact with her sometimes, but it was nothing like I never once thought that she owed me shit because nobody owes me anything. I can get my own shit. I don't need anyone. I don't like people owing me things, because then you're dependent on them for shit. And so that's basically what my rant was yesterday in response. I'm just like, look at Karen Reed doesn't know anyone's shit. If people have problems with other people, that's fine. I was called out on it. I don't care. Like that doesn't bother me in the least. I'm not going to respond to that. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. And that's it. That's it, man. So hopefully we just leave it at that and everybody moves on with their life. But, is what it is. All right, back to this. So that was Rich. Then we got Laura sends $10 and goes, you have such a gift talent. So proud of you. Huge fan. Oh, that's very nice, Laura. I appreciate that. And it's also hard work, though. You know what I mean? You can't just have a gift. You got to work hard. Thank you, kids. Remember that one. Clara sends $10 and goes, thanks from Tennessee. Free Karen Reed and free Turtleboy. Well, you're the only 10 I see, Clara. I appreciate that. Let's see. Nancy sends $25 and goes, I forgot to add a note. Shout out to my sister, Mary. Thank you. Shout out, Mary. Do your thing. She also sent 25 before, so she didn't have a note the first time. Thanks, Nance. Gina sends $5 and goes, have they counted the number of steps inside 34 Fairview Road? I don't know. Why? Because it's like 80 steps. Is that why? I don't know. Okay. And that's one thing. It's just like no talking to Krusty. Like that's like my big no. Like you can't be talking to her. Come on, you got to be better than that. That's the only thing that I was like, come on. Okay. Rogue Town, he sends $25 and goes, thank you, God bless, and keep you, all you. Okay. Thank you, Rogue Town. I appreciate that. Rachel, speaking of Krusty, sends $5 and goes, I bet Krusty is a Yankees fan. You know what? I think you might be onto something there. Okay. Let me refresh the turtle chat here. Marianne sends $10 and goes, why wasn't Steve Scanlon forced to testify? Because he would have been a horrible witness. He recanted. Like Steve Scanlon came into David, and I talked to the guy, and he kissed my ass and all, but he's like very evasive. And Steve Scanlon went to David Yannetti on February 2nd and said, look I know your client didn't do anything. He was beaten up inside that house by Brian Albert, his nephew, and an ATF agent. That's what he said. Brian Albert, his nephew, and an ATF agent. And then they left him outside to die. And David Yannetti is like, what? How could you know this? Like, because it didn't smell right to Karen for those first couple days there. Is this the real Karen? Is that the real her? I don't know. But I don't know if that's real her. We'll find out. But if it is, she's correct. And even if it's not her, this person's still correct. So he came forward and told the truth because he knew something. But David Yannetti was like taking notes, and he wanted to have him sign an affidavit. It is her. That's her. So, yes, it is. But she's not wrong about this. Like, so he came forward and he blew the whistle, and basically he alerted them for the first time about like what happened, and it just made sense. It all clicked. Like, yes, that makes sense. And then when they wanted him to sign something, he got like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I don't, because he knows Brian Albert. He was dry snitching. That's what we call that. He was dry snitching. He wanted to snitch without being known as a snitch. You know, like he wanted to point them in that's what he told me. I kind of want to just point him in the right direction, you know? But how did he know the question? How did he know the direction to point them in? That's the real question. Because, and I asked him that, he goes, it just didn't smell right. I'm like, you just went out of the blue and went and told him that? He goes, it just didn't smell right. He goes, what didn't smell right about it? He goes, all the injuries just didn't add up. The injuries just didn't add up. And I'm like, what about the injuries didn't? I go, but how could you have seen the injuries on February 2nd? It's not like they were putting pictures of John's arm everywhere. Those didn't come till much later on. That's what got me hooked, was kind of the arm picture, right? Those didn't come till much later on. So how could you know about what the injuries look like? And he didn't have an answer for it. And he's hiding something, or he's protecting someone. Like I said, I think he felt somewhat like, I wouldn't even say he felt bad, because he can't feel too bad because he knows something and he's not saying it. I just think he wanted to feel cool, like feel like involved. And it just, you know, but without going too far, you know, but his tip pointed them clearly in the right direction. And he ended up being right about Colin. He said he said the nephew. Like, that was what he told the nephew. And they had no idea prior to that Colin was at that house at all. None. So she knew that Brian Higgins was there because he was at the waterfall bar. They did not know that Colin was going to be there. And then it made sense because Karen had run-ins with Colin Albert, because she basically lived with John O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe had run-ins with Colin Albert. And they'll say that it's like, oh, it's just juvenile kid shit. There's nothing kid shit about the stuff Colin's doing. Those videos are sadistic. Those are not normal. And like leaving, he's just like pompous, disrespectful douchebag too. Like, and just, he's a liar. Like, kid's a freaking, if he gets away with this, like he's gonna kill again. Like, I hate to say it, he's gonna hurt somebody real badly now that he knows he can get away with it. His dad, I mean, it's a family tradition in the Chris Albert household. So anyway, okay, cool. Mr. Monk's understudy sends 10 and goes, any truth to the rumor that John Fanning recently became a born-again Christian? I have no idea, but he does need Jesus, so I hope for his sake he does. Deborah Thatcher, although it won't save him, sends $10 and goes, greeting from upstate New York, doctor. Krusty Panties is so fat, she goes to KFC to lick other people's fingers. Okay. Thank you very much, Deborah. Rob sends $10 and goes, Hoss long before Plevin's kerosene lamp blows up his wicker furniture. It's like that was a kerosene lamp he had in there, right? With the wicker and the wood paneling. Like, dude, looks like my finished basement from like 1974. Like, dude, what are you doing? Anyway. All right, cool. All right. If anyone else wants to have their messages read out loud to the class, you can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy. Let's jump right into this Vanity Fair article, shall we? All right. It was good, man. It was really good. So, on an August morning, Karen Reed is wheeling my suitcase into her 4-bedroom Mansfield house. Blah, blah, minimalist, colonial. I like this part. A Ziploc go bag, in case of sudden arrest, sits in the hidden buffet of her blue dining room. In it, Advil, melatonin, toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, drugstore lipstick, strip of paper with her lawyer's phone number on it. Yeah. and a bottle of Laura Mercier Foundation left over from her previous life. A copy of American Injustice, a 2021 account of a horrifying prosecutorial misconduct, rests atop a stack of finance books, a burner phone, and SIM cards. Purchased after Reed learned authorities were tracking her this year, is stashed inside a safe box beneath a scenic painting. In her closet, a framed Rebel Without a Cause poster stands behind the poster board exhibits from her last trial. So first of all, the trolls are running. It's hard for them to find much to work with this in an article, but this is one of the things that they're pointing out. Why does she have a burner phone if she has nothing to hide, motherfucker? Because who are these? When did it become cool? Like, when did Big Brother become cool? Like, oh yeah, like they said the same to me. What if you have nothing to hide? Why don't you just give your phone to the government to look through? Because they're the fucking government. Why are you using the Signal app? You don't want people reading your messages? Yeah, I don't want them reading my messages. It's the whole fucking point. Like when did Big Brother become cool to these people? They're such statist losers, all of them, man, losers. So that maybe, I mean, I'm reading this. I'm like, I feel like I should have the same. She always used to tell me before I got arrested. She's like, you need a lawyer, and you need to write the lawyers, and you need to have the phone numbers written down. You need like a thing, because you never know when they're going to show up. It might happen. And I'm like, I'll be fine. They're not going to show up. They're not going to arrest me. And then they did. And I didn't have anyone's phone number. So she was right. I should have been more prepared, but there's that. Okay. Then he goes on to say, she's been staying with family and friends, but wanted to conduct our interviews in the house. She told me she'd have a security person stay overnight. It's a volunteer who declined to be named for the story, but it looks like John Cena and has a license to carry. Strangest sleepover ever. It is strange for a journalist to stay at a subject's house, but Reed's offer was audacious. 3 days there, and they could discuss any aspect of her life. There will be no lawyer present or conversation parameters, even though anything she tells me on the record could be used against her in her forthcoming trial. There's nothing we're afraid of. Any question you have, I have answers for. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I've said from day one that this is why I've covered the story with the angle that I have, is because she doesn't hide shit. She's a very and I've grilled her about shit before. You've seen the messages between me and Natalie before Karen and I would speak directly, in which I'm like, and the trolls share them in bad faith, and they say, well, oh, look at him here. He's saying, is the Google search happening? Is the Google search real? Because I think I'd said in one of them, I'm like, I'm beginning to think that Colin wasn't there, or I'm beginning to think that this didn't happen, or whatever. And then, like, she would always, through Natalie, find a way to send me receipts and be like, oh, prove it. And so this is interesting. So she tells them, no lawyer present. Do you understand? She's being charged with murder. And her lawyers are allowing her to have a reporter stay at her house for 3 days without them. That's wild. Knowing that these bad faith actors are out there looking for anything to say. That, you understand that kind of trust that your lawyers have in you if they allow that to happen? And that's what's going on here. So again, this is why I liked working with her, is because she was extremely easy to work with. Like when it came to, just telling me, like, answering. And I have a lot of questions. Every time I talk to her, I have a shitload of questions. What about this? What about this? What do you got for this? What about this? And always has answers. And so Julie Miller's getting a taste of what I went through here. Okay. Next up. My editor and I discussed boundaries. I arrived with groceries for myself, and I booked a backup hotel in case I felt uncomfortable. My family was nervous. Me, 6 months pregnant. Happy pregnancy, Julie Miller, if you're watching. Congratulations. Bunking with an alleged criminal. Murder at that. Journalists rarely get such unfettered access to any subject, especially not someone in the middle of unusual, high-stakes circumstances. It's so true. I mean, this is like a journalist's, like, a lot of journalists would kill for this opportunity. to just have unfettered access to America's most famous criminal defendant. Like, wild. Okay, her story. Around 12:20 on January 29th, after a night of drinking, she dropped off her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, at the home of Brian Albert. She watched him walk toward the house where a smattering of Albert's family and friends, including a federal agent, were drinking. She then returned to his house where she lived part-time and went to sleep. She awoke 4 hours later, panicked to see that her boyfriend hadn't made it home. After calling O'Keefe's friends and discovering that no one knew where he was, she returned to the house where she'd left him. Stop right there. So the trolls are saying now, well, because this is the shit they love. They're like, well, how come they don't mention that she called her dad? How come they don't mention that she left voicemails? Well, they get to that later. Okay. But because the dad shit, nobody gives a fuck about that. It doesn't matter. She called her dad. That means absolutely fucking nothing. Like, adds nothing to the story. Like, the things that they're focusing on are so irrelevant to anyone with the brain that they're like, who cares? Who cares? You know? Goes on to say, she found O'Keefe covered in the snow in the front yard, unconscious with blood pooled around his nose and mouth. Straining to understand how he wound up gravely injured in a middle-class neighborhood at 6 a.m., she wondered whether she accidentally backed her vehicle into O'Keefe the evening before. She uttered 9 words that would immediately make her a suspect and radically change the direction of her life. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Now, I know that Karen Reed is saying that she said this. To me, I'm not convinced she actually said this. I've seen the dash cam videos. She doesn't say anything about that. I don't think there's a single report from any of these cops that said that she said anything of it. What all of them said that she said was, is he alive? That was a common question. Is he alive? Is he dead? That seemed to be your primary concern. I'm not even convinced she said this. Right? But she definitely didn't go around saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Because she would have been arrested on the spot. How that happened. Okay. And there they are. I've never seen this picture before. Aren't they lovely? He's so charming, isn't he? All right. By 5 o'clock that night, Michael Proctor, a state police trooper, had seized Reed's car and phone. 16 hours into his investigation, he texted his friends, there will be serious charges brought on the girl. She's a whack job cunt. 0 chance she skates. She's fucked. Oh. In a later group text, the investigator told supervisors he was searching her phone and appraised them of his progress. No nudes so far. Like, so, you know, we've seen all this. So this isn't like a bombshell or anything like that. But he, you know, the writer makes sure to include it in there because it's not just how rude he was. It's the fact that he jumped to conclusions so fast. Like, that's the bigger picture here. The fact that Michael Proctor's already solved the case within 16 hours. Just solved the fucking, it's over. She's fucked. She's fucked. You know, she's a whack job cunt. She deserves it. And like, who was he to even say that at that point, that she's a whack job cunt? I think he just calls everyone that. He called 𝗺cie a whack job too. Not a whack job cunt, but a whack job. And it's like, why would he call her a whack job? I could understand if that was her reputation around town, but I don't even think she wasn't from Canton. I don't think they ever crossed paths before. So like, he wouldn't even know. He just calls everyone a whack job, huh? Calm down, Chip. You got to relax, you know, Mr. Judgmental. Although I think he would take that one back if he could. He does hate women. He's a pig. Okay. When someone surmised that the homeowner would surely receive some shit as well, he responded, nope, the homeowner's a Boston cop too. Like, that is such a perfect response. Well, you know, the homeowner is going to be scrutinized, right? At least their life will be like a little uncomfortable. Probably be asked some questions, have their home searched. That's going to suck. Nope. Well, why nope? Why nope? Oh, because he's a Boston cop. If he wasn't a Boston cop, then you'd have a point. But he is a Boston cop, so he's fine. Like, he just makes it clear that I'm doing this because he's a Boston cop. Okay. Proctor called the texts unprofessional, regrettable, but argued that his remarks have zero impact on the integrity of his investigation. Oh, yeah. He did not respond to Vanity Fair's questions. And that, to me, was by far the biggest takeaway I had in all this, was who talked and who didn't. the defendant, who has everything to lose if she says the wrong thing, everything to lose, is happy to speak without her lawyers present. The people who have qualified immunity, right, and supposedly did this investigation that was by the book and it had integrity, as Proctor says, and the witnesses who just are doing their civic duty, man. They're not, as 𝗃𝗵𝗂𝗧𝗏 says, I'm not a suspect. I'm just a witness. I just want to say what I saw. That's it. They don't want to talk ever. They don't want to talk ever. They have been called murderers by everyone because they are. If I had a nickel for every time I called that murdering whore 𝗃𝗵𝗂𝗧𝗏 a murderer, I would have more money than Chris Albert owes. Okay, I would be a very wealthy man. And they don't have. You call me a murderer like that? I'm talking. I'm like, nope, I'm not. And here's why. I'm going on everything. I'm calling you out. I'm like, nope. But she can't do that. Like, they're afraid. They're afraid. They just want to go on Twitter and have crusty panties write shit for them. That's what they want. They're content with that. They can't even do it them damn selves. So who knows what burners they're using? We know Jill Daniels got caught. We know Jackie Dougal got caught. But yeah. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, like, and so all the people, let's just count all the people that Vanity Fair asked to speak with and declined. Michael Proctor, why would the lead investigator have nothing to talk about? He did everything by the book, right? Anyone from the DA's office, they said. None of them have anything to say. The entire Canton Police Department, no one has anything to say. Kevin Albert, which I guess is included in that, but he was specifically mentioned that they reached out to him. He's got nothing to say. Colin Albert, they reached out to. Bang, bang. Mr. Nothing to hide at all. Didn't talk, although I don't think that was his choice. Jennifer McCabe and Brian Higgins, they also reached out to. All these people. And Lally, of course, they reached out to. Matt Lally, like, why does Lally have nothing to say? He's the fucking prosecutor. And I'm told that in tomorrow's issue, there might be a bigger fish. A bigger fish who's got nothing to say. Because Julie Miller went after the big fish. I've heard. So stay tuned for that. Okay. All right, back to this. Reed wouldn't find out about these texts until much later, along with the public, and the immediate term for her charmed existence as an equity analyst and adjunct professor dissolved. Commonwealth prosecutors claimed that after a drunken argument, she reversed Alexis into O'Keefe, ultimately killing him. Well, first they did the 3-point turn, and then that didn't make any sense, so they switched it up. On February 1st, she was charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of personal injury. She lost her both jobs, her health insurance, her car, and her life savings. Now she's living off of what remains of her 401k. Not long after my visit, she sold her house to subsidize her legal expenses. That sucks. She still owes more than, this was a big bombshell, she still owes more than $5 million in deferred fees for the highly skilled defense team she's marshaled. That's what Ken Mello said that I made in a year, so maybe I can hook her up. But $5 million. I had no clue it was that high. But I don't think Alan Jackson and David Unetti are expecting to get any of that. I'm sure they're going to get something, but I'm sure they weren't expecting anything close to that. I think that how that works is they just give you the billable hours. Like Mark Randazza has done work for me where, you know, we do a small fee, right? But he's like, for the invoice purposes, he has to document all his billable hours and have a bill of it and show that. And so I'm guessing that's what this is. Like, if you were to add up the hours that these people worked on this case, holy shit, all of them, 3 of them, billing at, you know what Alan Jackson charges, man? I heard it's like close to $2,000 an hour because it's LA prices, and he's a lawyer for rich people. And I heard Liza Little is like $1,250. And I mean, I don't know what David Unetti is, but it's probably around 1,000. You know, these are big name attorneys. They work for big law firms. They work in big cities. That's expensive, right? So God knows what, and never mind the PIs, never mind how much Rich Green. I mean, they've spent so much money on Rich Green and kind of for nothing. Like it was for something, like they got the Google search, but like the Commonwealth just went and found their own bullshit experts and who made something up. And then it was effective because they were just like, the jury is just like, yeah, I don't know who the fuck's telling the truth. So yeah, tell me more about I hit him. Right. So anyway, back to this. Reed's first trial ended on July 1st with a hung jury, a conclusion that 5 jurors have since come forward to contest, according to the defense, saying that the jury had unanimously voted to acquit her. Okay, so we know all about this, how the SJC, the ACLU, the DA's office declined to comment, citing the active nature of it. But Michael Morrissey certainly didn't decline to comment on August 25th of 2023 when he gave that speech there. And, David Traub never declined to comment with Gretchen Voss, although he did kind of just tell her, like, go check out Jennifer Kofendaver's tweet. She speaks for us. So there we go. Maybe that's what they should have done with Julie Miller. Just giving her a link to Jennifer Kofendaver's Twitter account and say, just listen to her. All right, back to this. Reed's lawyers believe the first trial's outcome is just another twist in the strange saga. Okay. She's a victim, too, of a crooked DA, jury tampering, and corrupt law enforcement. She is a victim. I'm a victim. She's a victim. All these Canton rubber ducky people, they're victims. The Canton 9 are victims. Oh, and by the way, so one of the rubber ducky ladies, her mother got a summons today. Her mother was the one that was with her when they went out to lunch. Didn't even leave a ducky. She's being charged with being an accomplice to witness intimidation because she gave her a ride home. So she drove someone there. It's like, are you fucking kidding me, 𝗵𝗂𝗺? You're such a fucking loser, dude. And this is going to end someday. And you're still going to be 𝗵𝗂𝗺 at the end of this. If you escape jail. And you ain't going to have this witness intimidation statute to hide behind anymore. This is bullshit. So anyway, back to this. Okay. Other than feeling wrongfully persecuted and prosecuted, I feel incredibly violated. I know that feeling. Police have visited her home 3 times, seized her phones twice, subpoenaed her family's financial records. Yeah, they subpoenaed her family's financial records for me. For my case. They got her brother and her dad's Lexus records. I got them. Like, I know how much Bill Reed pays every month for his Lexus ES lease. And I know how much Nathan Reed owes on his Lexus GX. I know that because I have their fucking records for some reason. Like, and they did that to try to prove, like, they got my bank records and shit. They see how much I pay for everything, like my bills and, whatever, like all sorts of shit. They got it all. Like, it's like, and nothing came of it. Nothing. They go through all your shit. It is violating. That's a good way to describe it. Her private text messages, her most intimate thoughts. Believe me, I've never been inside Karen Reed's phone, but I assure you, the contents of my phone are significantly more horrifying than Karen Reed's phone. Like, you're gonna get a crash course lesson in 8th grade health class on my phone. It ain't gonna be pretty, and I'm glad that Tully had to look at it. I'm glad. But it is horrifying though that they go through this shit and they just get to read it all. They've been presented, hers have been presented to the world. At least I didn't have that happen yet. Right? Like, at least my most cringe text messages did not become fodder for the nation. Hers did. Like, those were extremely cringe. Like, that was the most uncomfortable day of the trial, was the day they read Brian Higgins text messages. I just kept looking, like, every time they show the camera on her, I'm like, oh, this has to suck. This has to suck. Because it wasn't like incriminating. It's just embarrassing. Like when she calls Higgins like hot, I'm like, bet you wish you could take that one back. That's not good. That's not good. Because I know she didn't mean that. No. That's cringe. Like that's a low point, you know? That's a low point. So anyway, back to this. Hold on. Sorry, I'm not reading it. So I shouldn't read the chat. Okay. All right, back. Her personal tragedy is many people's true crime entertainment. True. And even though the second trial scheduled to begin in January will offer more of the humiliation intrusions, she's pushing forward into 7-digit debt. Ooh, I'm not backing down now. As scary as a potential conviction is, I will go to jail for something I didn't do before I plea out. I will never give them that win. That is a straight soldier comment right there, folks. I will never let them win. I will go to jail for something I didn't do before I take a plea. God bless you. God bless you. And honestly, I would do the same thing if I was in her position. I am doing the same thing. But like I said, kind of, they definitely want her way more than they want me. I mean, I'm the definition of like collateral damage. Whereas, you know, like they have no intention of convicting me. Like they don't give a fuck about me. At this point, they've already done everything they needed to do to me. They revoked my bail. You know, they had the initial shock. They paraded me around in front of the cameras. You know, I mean, putting me in jail for 60 days, which was like an extra cherry on the top. I don't think they thought they were getting that, but they got it. But they're done now. Like the better letters just cooked them. Like, we have our foot on the accelerator and we're never taking it off. Like they're fucked. Have you guys noticed that? At least in the Karen Reed case with her, when her team files some motion and you're like, oh shit, how long did I in cold? At least they fire back. At least the Commonwealth's like, no, check out this guy from Canada. Actually, he's got a British accent. So point to the Commonwealth. Like at least they fire back in the Karen Reed case. We have been taking shot after shot after shot at them, just exposing them one by one. And Mello's like fucking dead. Literally, he might be dead. We don't know. I don't know if he's alive. If he's dead, like that's, I mean, honestly, he's like it's like a 𝗺𝗺𝗀𝗃. Like if Mello dies, like the world's kind of a better place, and no one can really argue otherwise. Like that'd be really great if Mello died. Like if Mello, I dare you to clip this and use it against me. Like it would be like if you died, like everyone would be happy. Like everybody in my chat would be so happy. We'd be like, yes, Mello died. Fuck off. Hope you burn in hell. You know, because he can burn in hell. I wouldn't even say R.I.P. I want him to like be in pain. Like rest in peace. No. I don't want you resting at all, motherfucker. Don't think that you're going to get out of this by dying. But yeah, like anyway, so yeah, like I was saying, like they don't fire back at all. Like no shots. We're getting shot after shot after shot, and we don't even hear shit back from them ever. So there's that. All right, back to this. Her pent-up feelings pour out of her with the urgency of a person facing a maximum sentence of life in prison, though she occasionally wisecracks in her tour through the wreckage. I never knew an unopened shredder could make me so sad. So she brought a shredder they're going to get rid of all these documents after the trial because it's taking up too much space, and she can't use it yet. So you got to do it all. The shredder is a visual reminder that we're not done yet. You know, if I can't get the entire truth of this case out in the public forum, if I can get this entire truth out of this case out in the public forum, that to me is priceless. Yes. And she's done that. Has she not? I mean, I've kind of done that, but you know, her not partnering, but like speaking with me was smart. Like it was very smart on her part. Like winning the battle of public opinion was very important in this. Because she's accused of killing a cop. Odds are against you when that happens. You know? So it's, and they lucked out. They found a bunch of douchebag jurors. But they didn't find enough, did they? They didn't find enough. Okay. Hey, blast from the past. So they talk about how they met and she thought he was cute. Okay. They start seeing each other. 20 years, Crohn's disease, MS. John's sister dies, niece and nephew, guardian. We know all this. So we're going to skip through that part. Perfect situation. Okay. Relationship, blah, blah, blah. He's a cop working with sex offenders. She gets to work on Zoom. Aren't they happy? There they are, living up the dream at the hillside or wherever they are. Okay. Having a good old time. And they are, I mean, it's an attractive couple. I'm not going to lie. Like they are a happy looking couple. Very photogenic. Obviously looks aren't everything, but I'll tell you one thing, like the way that she walked into the whatchamacallit, C.F. McCarthy's, like I wasn't like that. Even when I was like, you know, before I was married, like our courtship was not like that. And maybe that's why it didn't work out with me. I don't know. But it's like that to me. And that's like after 2 years of dating and they embrace like that when they see each other. Like she shares in this article that they were intimate the night before. That might be a little TMI, you know, but you know, they were fucking still after a couple years. So good for them. You know, they must, like, if you're, you know, fucking that much still after, you know, a couple years into the relationship, I would say that's a pretty passionate relationship, you know? Anyway, back to this. Okay. And as in any relationship, issues bubbled up. O'Keefe resented that Reed got to do the fun parts of parenting while he played disciplinarian, she says. And this, I knew the McAlberts were going to hate this the most the second I read it, because it sounds like she's like, John's not here to dispute any of this. So they're going to be like, he's destroying the image of John O'Keefe. No, he's not. No, she's not. Listen to this. When the kids return from a trip with their grandparents, she recalls Kaylee and Patrick. And I do like how they say their names too. Like, enough of this bullshit with the courts about, oh, you can't say your name. You're going to go to jail if you say their names. The way they protect it, that day pissed me off. And I loved when David Yannetti said to Patrick, his name is Patrick. He's got a fucking name. They want to use these kids as props in this whole bullshit, right? But like, oh my God, leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone. And then David Yannetti apologized to the kid. And he said, I am so sorry they made you do this. Objection. You guys didn't get to see that. Like, that should have been on TV. Like, there was no reason that should have been on video. Like, they want to use these kids as props in their attempt to lynch Karen Reed, then use them. Use them. They wanted the benefits of doing it without the repercussions of it. And they did this to those kids. They did this to those kids. So I'm happy that, and they were like, you can't say their names. I can't say their fucking names. I'm a goddamn fucking reporter. And I got some judge telling me I can't report what's happening right in front of my eyes right now. Like, that's a First Amendment bullshit. And I understand the First Amendment doesn't mean much in Norfolk County, but like, you guys are the ones doing this. Their names are Patrick and Kaylee. Okay. And good for Vanity Fair for putting it in there. Okay. I mean, I couldn't believe that when they said that you can't, you can't say their names. You can't. And then the trolls are like, I accidentally said the girl's name during a live stream and that they all reported me. I'm like, I got to worry about like losing my press pass over saying a fucking name of a witness. Are you kidding me? But anyway, back to this. Walked past O'Keefe to hug her first. O'Keefe felt the kids preferred Reed because she spoiled them with go-karts, fancy haircuts, and shopping trips. She thought they could feel her warmth in O'Keefe's stress. You know, and this, that's to be expected. Like, she's not the mom. She's the girlfriend. If you were the girlfriend and you inherited these two kids who are not yours, why wouldn't you be the one that spoils them? Don't you want to win them over? Like, that's what I think any normal girlfriend in that situation would do, right? Is try to be overly nice and just give them whatever the fuck they want, because you don't want to be the nasty girlfriend, you know? So this is like to be expected, I think. And John's the dad, so he's got to be the no fun one, you know? It's like, it is what it is. Like, that's nothing surprising. I don't think this is like degrading John at all. So yeah, O'Keefe didn't want to see a therapist. Okay. Drinking increased for both of them on weekends, which she now regrets, but rationalized at the time as unwinding after a hard week. O'Keefe had a drink or two. That was when he was the most relaxed. He would be easygoing, but then it was his vicious cycle where he's hung over the next day. During a New Year's group vacation in Aruba, Reed says O'Keefe and his friends cracked beers at 10 a.m. and drank till sundown or man down, whichever came first. She says she caught O'Keefe kissing another woman. This was new. The woman denied it at trial. So again, this is one of those, I did not know this, that Karen is actually sticking to that. That Marietta Sullivan, who is just obnoxious isn't even the word. Like, when I heard it, Johnny, Uncle John, what do you call him? The Godfather? Oh my God. Like, she's so fucking annoying. And you just look at her and you're like, damn, you're a broad-shouldered bitch. Like, I looked at her, I'm like, that bitch has some broad shoulders. Like, I looked at Laura Sullivan, who is, you know, kind of like a demented looking chick, and I'm like, yeah, the older Sullivan slut, who's like a decade older, is kind of more attractive than the younger one. Like, it's like, so that's odd. I mean, he must have been hammered. But then again, Karen said Higgins was hot, so she can't really say anything, you know? Like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, linebacker is a good word for it. Like, she looked like she could, you know, like she'd be like middle linebacker, like good tackler, like just wrap you up good, bury your shoulder into you. But anyway, I knew, and then this is good. That same January, Reed engaged in her own flirtation. She exchanged texts with Higgins. It was a brief thing and petered out as quickly as it started. I knew Higgins found me attractive. So she's, you know, they put that in there. You know, that's going to drive the trolls nuts because it sounds like she's cocky, but it is a fact. Like, he did find her attractive. It helped me emotionally validate myself, which is embarrassing to admit. See, I like that. Howie liked that line too. It's an admittance that, like, did I not call that? I think a lot of us called that when we read those messages. That's how I read that, was like, come on, dude. She doesn't really think Higgins is good looking, but it feels good. If I don't care I don't care how ugly the other person is. When they tell you that you're attractive, that feels good, doesn't it? Right? It doesn't matter how ugly the other person is. It still feels good. And, you know, she's a 40-year-old woman at the time. And her boyfriend is, you know, it's not like with women. It's like men, as we grow older, we almost become like more attractive to women, you know? Whereas women, it's kind of the opposite. So that's got to be a little bit depressing to see that, like, Johnny, as they call him, right? Is, you know, he's got all these bitches that be sweating him. Like, you know, he could break up. If they broke up, he would have a line of hoes, Canton hoes too. The Canton hoes would be lining up for some of that JJO, some of that OJO. Right. And I think she knew that. And I think she's like, well, I want to feel pretty too. So if this fat fuck is going to tell me that I'm attractive and it makes me feel better, I'll play along. And she played along for like a week. And then stupid Higgins thought it was like real love or some shit. And he's just like that. Well, like when he read those messages off during the trial, that is so cringe. Like he was so proud to read those. He couldn't wait to turn that over because he felt so cool. Like, oh yeah, this hot murder defendant is like said, I'm hot. And I was like, are you sure about that? You really think I'm hot? Like, bro, yeah, we heard what you said. Like you have a limited window here to get it in, Higgins. Limited window. You either got to go for it or you don't. Like, are you going to hook up with your buddy's girl? Are you that brazen? Or are you like, do you want to fall in love with her or some shit? Because that's fucking weird. Like, don't do that. And he went with that. And he's like, what? You didn't really like me? Thought you liked me. You know. And so I think that that's why I think Higgins is involved. He can't be the only one. He can't be the one that did the fatal blow because they would just throw him under the bus. Like they'd have no reason. And they didn't trust him for a bit. That would been the perfect opportunity to throw him under the bus. I think they're all secret together. You know, like a bunch of them were involved and none of them can rat or else they all got to rat on each other. Anyway, back to this. On Friday, January 28th, Reed and O'Keefe been drinking at the waterfall. Okay. It's a quaint town. Highways go through it. Blue collar community. Homes passed down through generations. Around midnight, snow was falling when Brian Albert invited everyone to the house for drinks. Boston's finest. Younger brother Kevin, Chris is on there. They don't mention Fredo. But Fredo owned a pool at one point, his greatest life accomplishment. They could have mentioned that, but they didn't. And then there's also the other weirdos that nobody knows. Like, I think there's one named Keith. He looks like a level 3 sex offender. Looks like. Doesn't say he is one. Looks like. And then there's talk about broad-shouldered. The broad-shouldered older sister. Is that Kathleen? Is that her name? I don't know. The older sister. I think she's the second oldest in the family. So yeah, her too. She didn't get mentioned. We always forget about her. Anyway, so they talk about all the people that were there, the 𝗺cie, etc. All right. When Reed woke up the next morning and panicked that O'Keefe was not home, she met up with two of his friends, Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts. At 6 a.m., they pulled up to the Alberts house at 34 Fairview Road. And Reed spotted O'Keefe in the front yard. Again, the trolls are going to say here, they're like, what about all the other stuff that happened in between? What about when she went back to 34th Avenue Road? Shit that never happened. And they have no evidence that ever happened or anything like that. Why did she go back to the house? Why didn't she take her shoes off? She was so happy he was dead, right? So she kept the shoes on because John was dead. She never would have done that if he was alive. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Anyway, they pulled up to the, and she spotted him in the front yard. Hysterical, she jumped out, cleared snow from his bruised and bloody face, and began mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Roberts administered chest compressions, and McCabe called 911. At times, she lay on top of him, desperately trying to heat his body, which had cooled to 80 degrees. Emergency vehicles raced onto Fairview moments later, their red taillights beaming into the dark sky and bouncing off the snow. It was such a spectacle that a neighbor snapped photos. And we've seen these before, the neighbor that snapped photos. Again, I'll show you. We have it here. There it is. No, wrong one. I shared the same article there. Like, this is what it looked like, right? This is taken from the bedroom of the Asian house, and I'm calling it that because that's what Matt McCabe called it. And this is what they could see from their bedroom. Like, look at the snow. Look at how the snow illuminates everything. Like, I don't, and the Plevins of the world say, well, they didn't put their sirens on, so it wouldn't wake anyone up. Like, bro, all these lights and shit, like would have at least woken the dog up. Like not one of you guys woke up from this shit. And the screaming woman outside. It woke up the neighbors. It woke up this person who's like, what the fuck is all this light out there? What's going on? And Brian Albert's window of his bedroom is this one right here. Right there where my thumb is. That's his bedroom. It was the closest spot in the house to where the body was found. It would have seen right into it. So the Asian house saw this. And just look at all this shit. Look at all these lights. People running around there. Like that's the McAlbert property line. So anyway, back to this Vanity Fair thing. She wondered whether, so they snapped photos. Neither Albert nor any of his family members emerged or attempted to save his life. Even in her confusion, Reed clocked this. She wondered whether she had dropped her boyfriend off at the wrong house. And after a night of drinking, O'Keefe entered an aggressive stranger's home. First time I've ever heard that scenario. That actually kind of makes sense. I guess that, because again, Karen Reed's just like thinking of like what could have happened. Like he's very confused. That would, I mean, that you hear about that happening sometimes where people get shot that way. You go into the wrong house, you know. That guy Botham Jean a few years ago, who's in the right house, and that attractive cop from Dallas shot his ass. And you know, so I mean, I've heard of that before. People go into the wrong house drunk or some shit like that, and like people are startled and shoot them. So like that's actually a theory that like, yeah, that kind of makes sense too, you know. But so she's wondering these things. The Alberts say they slept through the noise. The neighbor who snapped photos opines to Vanity Fair that Albert's explanation, quote, absolutely doesn't make sense. And that's a strong statement. Not like doesn't make sense to me. Absolutely doesn't make sense. So the neighbors, maybe they didn't like being called the Asian house in those text messages, but that never made any sense to them. And it didn't make sense to anyone else. And their opinion matters a lot because it woke them up, didn't it? And I hope they get called in the next trial. EMTs delivered her around 8 a.m. About the same time, O'Keefe was pronounced dead of hypothermia and blunt force trauma to the head. The patient is hysterical. She's actively grieving. She says she doesn't belong here. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So Justin Rice, that guy was a douche, the doctor. When Reed's father, Bill, arrived at the hospital, the nurse briefed him. Your daughter wants to know whether or not John's dead. We can tell her, you can tell her, or you can help her. You can tell her present with us. I'll tell her. Reed insisted that her dad take her to O'Keefe's house to see Kaylee and Patrick. The rest of the O'Keefe family was already there, including his mother, Margaret, who goes by Peg, his father, John Sr., and his brother, Paul. They had all come from the hospital where they saw his body and saw his gruesome condition and laid bare under the bright lights. The adults gathered around the kitchen island, and Reed asked the family what O'Keefe looked like. He looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson, was Paul's response. That's interesting. Now, Paul denies this to this day. When I asked him about this, I'm like, didn't you say that you thought he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson? No, he goes, no, Yannetti said that. And Yannetti did say that in one of the clips on the courthouse stairs on the day that Karen was indicted. He goes, I don't buy that. But he was actually doing that intentionally, he said, because Paul had said that. So like Paulo Griff had said that earlier. Now he denies it. So it's a he said, she said. But why David Yannetti does not strike me as a liar or a dishonest person. And if he says it happened, I believe him. I believe him. But then Peg said, I think he got hit by a car. Man, she's a miserable, uncomfortable person, isn't she? Well, that's awkward, Peg. I think I didn't know you spoke. I didn't know words came out of your mouth, Peg. I thought you just chucked the middle finger. Like I couldn't have ever imagined my mother behaving like Peggy O'Keefe did outside of that courthouse. Like ever. Like my mother would have said to someone like me coming up and putting a camera in their face, my mother would have been like, Excuse me. Excuse me. We're trying to cross here. Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? Please leave us alone. Thank you. Thank you very much. Like, that's how my mom would have reacted to that situation. If some guy came up to her, like, she's in the, first of all, my mom would give a shit. She would like be trying to look for the murderers and shit. And she would be way too ashamed to like pal around with the people who murdered me. Right. In that situation. But like, if there was a Turtleboy, like if there's somebody like JLR, who's just like this obnoxious person who is, centered himself in this and comes up to my mom and is like, puts a camera in her face. She's like, so why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? My mom would be like, pardon me, please get out of my way. Like, not Peggy O'Keefe though. Peggy O'Keefe was like, where's Lindsay? You know where she is, sucking dick in a alley somewhere. Like, I don't fucking know. You brought her here. You tell me, So back to this. Reed was thunderstruck by the unexpected hostility. And again, that's an uncomfortable situation. And the snow's coming down. You think she wants to get snowed in with them? Her family realized it was time to leave. Reed and her father went upstairs to pack her medication and several belongings. She hugged and kissed them for what would be the last time. A few days later, she was court ordered to refrain from contacting the O'Keefe family. I felt like all of a sudden, this went from being my house to I am a person non grata. As they left, she told her father, Dad, I don't know what happened, but I feel like Peg thinks I did something. When they got home, Bill Reed searched criminal defense attorneys in Boston. Bill Reed searched criminal defense attorneys Boston. And I saw a stupid Grant today. Made a post like, wait a minute. She searched in her phone for DUI attorney or some shit like that. So why aren't there messages on there with Yannetti? It's like, because she'd have to search for one first, dumbass. Wouldn't she? Before she texted him. And she didn't know David Yannetti, so she's not going to immediately start texting him. They're going to start with a phone call. Like, when you're doing a professional thing like that, trying to hire a lawyer, you start with the phone call, and then you get comfortable with them, and then you start texting, like on a professional thing. So there's that. So Bill Reed starts Googling criminal defense attorneys, and, his name and picture pops up. He was a prosecutor before, Jeffrey Curley. Okay. He looked like an honest man. State police were moving quickly. They seized Reed's car and phone less than 12 hours after O'Keefe was declared dead without a warrant, I believe. She knew she was a suspect, but her devastation trumped her fear. She was, again, if they took her car, and then remember they wanted to add into evidence that she Googled DUI attorney. Well, probably because you took her car. So she's putting the clues together here about what's coming next, But her devastation trumped fear. She was still confused about why the body was on his lawn and was shocked that he was dead. I'd been with them all week. We had been intimate the night before. Again, yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing. Guess they were fucking, but there's that. So, and now he's gone. She told Reed to prepare for an arrest. Yannetti did. So racked by grief and disbelief, she zombie walked through her morning ritual, showered, did her makeup, blew out her hair, picked out a sweater that would be comfortable in jail, and waited for hours on the white couch in her living room, where I sat while she recounted the story. 3 days after arrest, she was taken into police custody. That was the one night that she spent in jail. An attractive, highly educated finance professional accused of killing a cop boyfriend was catnip to Boston media. The morning after arrest, cameras rolled as she was escorted into her arraignment. She pled not guilty, $50,000 bail. And a cousin with a criminal record called her with advice saying, I've pled the charges where I wasn't even in the state. I didn't know Karen had like a cousin. Like, who's this cousin? Who's this mystery cousin? Can we get him on the show? I want to get this, like, she's got a shitbag cousin that she can just call up on a whim and be like, so can you get any like tips on like what to do if you're charged with the crime you didn't commit. He's like, oh, I take plea deals for crimes I didn't commit all the time. I wanted to get out of jail. I couldn't post bail, and I didn't have David Yannetti. The cousin warned her that prosecutors don't always care if they have the right guy as long as they have someone behind bars. That's a closed file for them, he said. And then he added, question everything. Yannetti received a different kind of call on February 2nd, and this is about Scanlon. He told Yannetti that Albert and his nephew had beaten up on O'Keefe on January 29th. When O'Keefe didn't come to, Albert and an unnamed federal agent put O'Keefe's body on the front lawn. When Yannetti called him back for a more thorough interview, he backtracked, saying he was only speculating based on photos of O'Keefe in the news that didn't exist. He ultimately recanted the tip altogether. But Yannetti points out that O'Keefe his photos hadn't been released at the time of the first phone call. And other details from the tip lined up. Like how would Steve Scanlon know that there was a federal agent there? I don't think he denies that he said that there was a federal agent there. How would he know that Brian Higgins was there? It wasn't on the news that Brian Higgins was there. They were trying to hide who the house belonged to begin with. Yet they know. I mean, so yeah, that's what I mean. Steve Scanlon was the original whistleblower, but he's also a huge pussy. He ain't no Lucky Loughran. I'll tell you that much. But Yannetti points out the photos of O'Keefe had, oh no. All right. In February, a funeral was held in Braintree. Dozens of cops saluted the casket as they walked into Francis Assisi Church. I loved this part of the story. I thought this was great. Bagpipes skirled solemn hymn as a giant American flag waved in the wind. Reed was not there, in part because of the stay away order, but views the pomp as performative. The whole Irish cop departed thing. Let me pull up this clip. Let's see if you can find this clip. Hold on, let's see if I can find this. Let's see if we could sign this. I got one quote here from The Departed I want to show. Here.
Hey, put the fucking gun down. What did you say? I can get... Fuck you, prove it. He was working for me. He was my informant. Shut your fucking mouth. Come on, get up. Well, what is this, a citizen's arrest? Blow me. All right, only one of us is a cop here, Bill. You understand that, Bill? No one knows who you fucking are. Shut the fuck up! I'm a sergeant in the Massachusetts State Police. Who the fuck are you? I erased you. You erased me, huh? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Shoot a cop, Einstein. Watch what happens. Well, what happened is this bull would go right through your fucking head. Watch what happens. What, so you can get the parade, huh? The bagpipes and bullshit?
There it is.
Fuck you! Fuck you! I'm fucking arresting you! That's stupid.
That's the line. That's the line. The bagpipes and the bullshit. Exactly. I love that. That's the first thing I thought of when I read this Karen Reed quote. Was the bagpipes and the bullshit. Because that is exactly what this all was. This whole fucking thing here. Like every time a cop dies, they get those goddamn bagpipes out. Like I don't know when that became a thing. Like why we're not in Scotland. I don't get how that became a thing. And you know, a million cops come out and I get it. It's like, especially when Michael Chestnut died, it was like I liked it. Like it was because he died and he seemed like a really good guy and really good father. And I've gotten to know Cindy Chestnut as a result of this. And like those two fucking loved each other. And so that was very touching, that whole thing. But with John O'Keefe, it did feel like bullshit. Like it felt like bullshit with those people. It just felt like, oh, this is just what we do. Like, I don't think any of them gave a shit, you know, like it didn't, if that makes sense. And this is what I got from this quote. She goes, Reed was not there because of the stay away orders. but views the pomp as performative. This whole Irish cop departed bagpipe thing, there's nothing holy about this. I think it's the biggest farce, maybe only second to my trial, that the people who were there in the cold outside the church were nowhere to be found in terms of actually delivering justice to John O'Keefe. I don't see any of these people coming to court, nothing. And maybe their silence really tells us more than anything. The fact that they're not there, it says more than anything. But it's like, you know, if I were a cop, I'd be wanting to help her out and help solve this shit. You know, get to the bottom of it. I'm just saying. Okay. Back to this. They should say it too, Richie. I agree. All right. A breakup when kids are involved is a high-stakes decision. In January 2022, despite their troubles, neither were willing to give up on the family dynamic they had forged. That fateful night, they still loved each other. They cuddled at the, actually, I believe it was C.F. McCarthy's, and witnesses described them as affectionate. They went back to celebrate Brian Albert Jr.'s 23rd gay birthday. Beyond a bar run in the week before O'Keefe died, he'd never really socialized with Albert, even though both were BPD living in Canton and had McCabe in common. Albert had an alluring reputation. He helped unmask the Boston Strangler, right? And the Craigslist killer. The night he died, O'Keefe was eager to join up for a nightcap. She wondered whether they were at the right address when they got there. Again, there is that element of like wanting to impress Brian Albert. Like he was king shit in Canton. And I don't think Karen Reed was very impressed by Brian Albert, but I think John O'Keefe was. And I think this is part of what, like whenever I've talked to Karen, they really, the McAlberts, like to them, the only thing that defined John was that he was a cop. To Karen, what defined John was that he was a father, I think. And that's what really attracted. She wasn't attracted to the badge. She ain't a badge buddy type, you know. But you know, to the others, they hide behind like the thin blue line. Like it's the only thing that they identify him as, you know. Okay. McCabe had conveyed the invitation, so Reed wasn't sure how everyone felt. O'Keefe said he'd check out the scene and report back, but minutes passed without a word. I got pissed, she tells me now. She knew that a woman O'Keefe used to hook up with lived a few houses down the street. He's got to be screwing around, she thought. I didn't think he was physically incapacitated. After about 10 minutes of waiting, she drove to O'Keefe's house to be with Kaylee, who was home alone. To Reed, it felt like Aruba all over again. So recent. She sent O'Keefe a barrage of angry voicemails and texts. Again, we've been over all this. John, I fucking hate you. That's the exact opposite type of message that you would send if you just killed your boyfriend. Even during the trial, I remember like the naysayers, the Karen Reed is guilty people even saying, yeah, this isn't landing the way we thought it would. You know, this actually kind of makes her look innocent. Don't like that. 4 months after Reed was charged, state police were back at her house to arrest her again, this time for second-degree murder. And that's just wild. You know, and my lawyer, Tim Bradle, this is the exact, we had a conversation today about this. And this is what he told me. When I asked him, he goes, it's so disgusting that she was arrested for murder on June 9th. And it really drives me crazy, he said. I go, why? And he says, we would have been laughed at because he's worked in Suffolk County a lot of his life. And that's Boston, right? And so he goes, he's always tells me that there's differences between city and towny DAs, right? Cities have different problems than towns. And he says, we would have been laughed out of the grand jury in Boston if we tried to take an alleged car accident with a death and make it into a murder case. We had enough real murder cases on our own. When I became a defense attorney, I saw this over and over again in the suburbs, generating leverage for themselves by terrorizing defendants with obscene charges. Some of the suburban offices are like Boss Hogg and the Dukes of Hazzard. No one challenges them, and they are incredulous when you push back. That's kind of how it sums it up right there. Like, if this happened in Suffolk County, I'm not convinced Kearney would have been charged with murder. It's like a small town thing. Like, we need to Somebody's got to murder. I mean, why? It still makes no sense. I think they were doing it, like you said, for leverage, because you increase your chances of somebody just taking a plea, you know, but that didn't end up happening. She and Yannetti were stunned. She didn't know a rearrest were possible. And her lawyer hadn't been given a heads up. Defendants can be upcharged when significant new evidence is discovered, but Reed and Yannetti considered the additional evidence cited to be a stretch. In an interview, Patrick claimed O'Keefe and Reed argued a decent amount of time. I know, right? And Kaylee recalled O'Keefe telling Reed their relationship was over, with Reed refusing to leave the house. They estimated her blood alcohol level based on a sample taken at the hospital, and the Sullivans, so let's not forget them. They helped with the indictment as well. The second arrest was Yannetti and Reed's first clue that something was, as they say, amiss. It was so dirty and underhanded that they would go behind my back, he tells me. The DA requested Reed's bail be set at $500,000. I believe it was to scare me and get me some kind of plea deal going. Do 2 years on a lesser manslaughter charge and you'll be free, which we were never going to consider. At her second arraignment, Yannetti argued that his client had reason not to flee, her Crohn's disease, and bail was set at $100,000 by Auntie Bev. The day I'm upcharged, David's like, listen, I know this is the worst time to have this conversation, but my fees double for murder. Yeah, I mean, it's probably has to have that conversation a lot with clients. It's like, yeah, bro, you gotta, so I cost money, and this is what you got to pay me. The fees weren't as frightening as the legal shock, though. At that point, says Reed, David and I realized this is fucking dirty. This is not, you said something that was taken the wrong way at the scene and they got the wrong guy. This is intentional. They're framing me. That's why she said we're all in the same joke, right? Reed and Yannetti were running into repeated roadblocks trying to get basic evidence, including the geofence data, which would have identified every cell phone at the Albert's house. Desperate for guidance, she emailed Alan Jackson, an LA-based lawyer who used cell phone data to get a 2019 groping case against it. Okay, so they go over his whole resume, blah, blah, blah. Jackson gets more than 100 representation requests monthly. That's crazy. But the subject line of Reed's email stood out. Murder of a Boston cop. He clicked on it and read her plea. I'm fighting for my life against a blue wall and therefore marshaling whatever resources I can find. On a call with Reed, Jackson agreed to share his cell phone data related motions and asked to hear more about her case. After learning that she had been accused of fatally hitting O'Keefe with the SUV, the lawyer asked to see the photos of the injuries. She immediately sent over a few, revealing O'Keefe's bruised and swollen eyes and the cuts above his right eye and nose. But it was his right arm, which looked like it had been clawed, that caused Jackson to exclaim, quote, "That's an animal attack." Jackson later said by phone, if there's any medical examiner or DA or lead investigator out there claiming that's from a car, that's bullshit. And if that's not true, what else isn't true? So again, he gets his pick of what cases he wants to do. There's probably a lot of people who pitch their case to Alan Jackson and they're like, yeah, that's not interesting. No. And then he looks at this and he's like, wait a minute. Let me see that picture. That's a car did that? That's a car? Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, apparently. So that's how she got him. The police theory of what happened that night is evident in the charges, but what she and her defense team said happened involves a fatal fusion of alcohol, testosterone, and bad luck. They encountered a combination of these guys in the basement and turned violent. According to the Apple Health data, 180 steps up and down 3 flights of stairs. Witnesses inside the Albert home denied that it went in the house. We know this. The defense theory holds that O'Keefe's body was moved to the yard. Reed's defense offers several possible catalysts for disagreement, such as Higgins' flirtation with Reed. But again, really, it shouldn't be up to them to come up with motive. I mean, if I were them, I'd want to just, why did this happen? Like, I'd be racking my brain trying to figure out why, but it's really not up to them to figure out why, you know? Another is O'Keefe's allegedly antagonistic relationship with Colin Albert. Beer cans on the lawn and whatnot. Colin testified that there was no animosity. Yeah, he also testified that he kisses his parents goodnight and had never been in a fight in his life and didn't talk to his parents at all about this upcoming murder case he was going to testify in. Right. Or there's the idea that Brian Albert might have simply been irritated by the likes of O'Keefe, who was given special accommodations by BPD after his sister's death. I could see someone could look at John and say, I'm a real cop. I'm the head of the fugitive unit. I've been on the drug unit and gang unit, Reed imagines to me. But again, this is all hypothetical. You know, it's not up to her to come up with the explanation for why. Albert's spokesperson, Greg Henning, denies the idea that there was ever beef or any physical altercation. He adds that Albert attended a fundraiser in support of Kristen. Okay. He also noted that Albert attended O'Keefe's wake to grieve with the family. First time I'm hearing that. I've seen no pictures of it. If he says he was there and can prove it, okay. But I didn't see him in any of those at the funeral, nothing. I saw a lot of other cops there. I didn't see him. I know he goes to New York to go to cops' funerals and shit like this. And Greg Henning has no credibility whatsoever because Greg Henning lied about he testified or wrote in a motion, and I'll read this motion. It was in the article I wrote on this. Let me get it. The exact comment was, when they tried to get the animal control records from the town of Canton, the Commonwealth opposed for some reason. Like, why would they oppose that? If there's nothing, who gives a shit? If he's not eaten by a dog, who cares? Right? But they opposed it. And they said the defense is asking the reader to conclude that the dog in question has a history of attacking human beings. And it was sent away for being violent towards people. This is not true. They're saying they never bit a dog in their life, so you don't need to look at the animal control records. Well, they won that motion, and they got the animal control records, and as it turns out, 𝗺𝗏 has bit people before. So either Greg Henning lied or Brian Albert lied to Greg Henning. Either way, Greg Henning can't be trusted because he's getting information. Like, it doesn't matter if Brian Albert or Greg Henning's a liar. Like, however it's getting through to Greg Henning, it's not the truth when it comes out of his mouth. So, in any of these scenarios, the defense believed the Albert's German Shepherd 𝗺𝗏 was a factor. She was being kept in the basement because she was not great with strangers. She was not great with other dogs either. The Canton resident, they interviewed the resident whose dog was attacked. Told Vanity Fair that in 2018, she was walking with her golden doodle past the Albert yard when 𝗺𝗏 attacked her dog. So 𝗺𝗏's just walking around like that so aggressively that she was not able to stop the German Shepherd until someone emerged from the Albert home and called 𝗺𝗏's name. The owner took her dog, covered in blood, to the veterinarian, who told her that, how did 𝗺𝗏 not get put down when that happened? To the veterinarian, who told her that 𝗺𝗏 needed to be reported to animal control. It looked like 𝗺𝗏 wanted to kill the dog. But when the woman called Canton police, she was told that animal control was out and that police could not tell her when the animal control officer would be back. So they were just like, yeah, they're just not here. They're gone. Okay. After she left her information with the police, she says Kevin Albert, Brian's brother and a Canton cop, contacted the woman's husband with the message, not her husband, with the message from the police chief. How can we make this thing go away? That was one of the biggest bombshells of this whole thing. The fact that make this thing go away is that, and Berkowitz is the one that did it. Why is Berkowitz trying to make anything go away? Like, this is the same shit he did with trying to get that reporter to take down his tweet. The same shit. And this is just how they do shit. It's business as usual. This is how shit's done in Canton. When it comes to Brian Albert, he's a pillar of the community. We need to make shit go away. The woman became so nervous walking past the house that she started carrying pepper spray. About 3 months after O'Keefe's death, 𝗺𝗏 attacked another dog and bit a woman who tried to intervene. The woman confirmed to Vanity Fair. And these women were on the defense list for the trial and were not called. I think that will change in the second round. I hope that will change. The Alberts subsequently rehomed the dog of 7 years. That was not the only major change for the Albert family. Brian Albert retired. That same year, Alberts sold their house that had been in the family for decades. Henning denies that either decision was related to the case. He says the family considered selling it in 2021. We'll just take their word for it, before O'Keefe's death, but eventually did so because the Albert children had grown up and moved out. Except they hadn't. Brian Albert Jr. still lived there. And Brandon Albert lived in Bridgewater State and came home a lot. And Jack Albert was, when he would come home, and Kayla Albert, like they only go to Bridgewater. It ain't that far. And so then they moved to a 4-bedroom place in Norwood. It's like you moved from a 5-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. Like, how does that make sense? Okay. And for the first time in writing, we see when the new owners moved in, the flooring had been removed from the basement, where Reed's defense team claims the fatal altercation with O'Keefe took place. Interesting. That didn't come up in the trial either. But Henning said it was a modification that a real estate agent suggested. Right. I believe whatever happened to John was a setup to teach him a lesson or tune him up, and it got out of control. No one would choose to kill someone in their own home and set it up so sloppily. Exactly. But that is where her willingness to make sense of everything ends. I hold the DA who passed the bar and went to law school to a higher standard. The power that a DA has in any given county is staggering. It's scary. He can bring all the resources of the state to try to get a pound of flesh, which I believe is what he's doing. That's exactly it. Because again, they have all the guns, don't they? Reed spent her first months after O'Keefe's death mourning him, reminiscing, and trying to distract herself from her predicament. She read The Count of Monte Cristo. She was confounded by his death. Was open to the idea that she could have accidentally hit him. I told my parents, if I did anything in any way, I'll pay my dues. That's how this should work. I want to know the truth, good, bad, or ugly. But that's not what happened. She hired a PI and even sought out materials that could prove she was guilty, like security footage from the Alberts' home. Remember they had a Google Nest camera? And this came out in the grand jury testimony that there was Google Nest. And Lally interjected himself and was like, whoa. I just want to, you didn't install it, right? It was like he was being coached. Remember that? So, the homeowner across the street from the Alberts, who works for the Canton police, not just works, is the deputy chief, told Reed's private investigator that his camera did not pick up anything from 34 Fairview Road. This is the first time this has been put in writing. I've reported this before in part 1 of the Canton Coverup series, but it has never been put in writing before because it didn't come out of trial, and it needs to. I hope if her lawyers are listening, bro, this is a huge deal, man. Tom Kelleher, it's like a crime for Tom Kelleher not to be called as a witness in this trial. It doesn't matter what he says, what his answers are. Either way, you win. Because they're going to ask him, did anyone ask to look at your cameras, right? Your Ring camera. Because they should. Again, look at this. This is what the Ring camera view would have picked up from Tom Kelleher's house. That is quite literally the exact spot where the Commonwealth alleges Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. It would have gotten all of it. Everything it would have gotten. If she did it, they would have it. If she didn't do it, they would have had it. Either way, you're going to solve the mystery by getting this guy's Ring camera. It's the very first place they should go to is ringing Tom Kelleher's doorbell. That's it. He's the most important person to this entire thing. And he wasn't on the witness list for anyone. He needs to be. And the first question you ask him is, did the state police investigators or anyone ask to look at your Ring camera? And if the answer is no, that's suspicious, because that's the first thing that they would normally do. They even told WBZ that they did have Ring camera footage. That's why everyone thought she did it at first. So you ask her, did they do it? If he says no, they didn't ask me, that's a win. If he says yes, right, which you can't say because apparently the private investigator is the one that did it, then he needs to explain why that video has not been entered into evidence. And don't tell me it didn't pick it up. What use is your fucking Ring camera if it didn't pick this up? And Ring cameras are very good at picking up sound. Are they not? Sound. This is the guy they got the solo cups from. They wanted solo cups from him, but not his Ring camera. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? You cannot be serious. Like, that is the most underrated thing that didn't happen in this trial, is Tom Kelleher has just been left out of this shit, hasn't he, folks? And Tom Kelleher is dirty as shit. That guy knows where all the bodies are buried. That guy knows, like, he's as ingrained in this town as you could possibly get. Daddy was a cop. I think he shot himself by accident once. I think that was him. He's a piece of shit. Just a towny fuck. Graduated with Nicole Albert, class 1988, Canton High School. Sad that I know all this shit. But the fact that, you know, he has never been questioned, that the police that didn't go to him, really says it all, does it not? He still lives there. Okay? No, wrong one. But now we know that he just says the Ring camera didn't pick it up, and that's the end of that. Security footage from the library, I don't think this came out at trial either. Between 12:37 and 39 just disappeared. Wasn't there. The Commonwealth says they turned over the entirety of the video that Canton police gave them. No, they turned over they said that they turned over the entire video that the town of Canton, Louis Jutras, gave them. I know that so Jutras got it and he put it on a file and he sent the file to Proctor. And I don't know if it's Matthew Dunn or someone else. And then they burn it to a CD for some reason. And now it's gone. 2 minutes are gone. So it's like, I don't know who lost those 2 minutes. Wasn't me. Somewhere in the chain it got lost. Reed told me that about a rumor that there are texts. I'm so glad this was addressed, because this is what, like, I think it's on one of those videos, like with the fake victim. She told me, she's like, Aidan, I need to tell you something because I care about you. Okay? It's about Karen. I'm all, okay, what is it? And I got text to back this all up. She's like, I'll tell you in person. I'll tell you in person about it. And she told me, she goes, there's inadmissible proof in Karen Reed's phone that she did it. I'm like, there's inadmissible. I'm like, why? Okay, what is it? What is this evidence you have? She's like, no, I need to let you know because I really care about you and you've staked your whole reputation to this. And, you know, you really should know. Okay, well then can you tell me? Like what do you know that I don't know? Of course, she wouldn't say anything because then she'd have to admit that she's talking to 𝗺cie panties the whole time. So, you know, and she was just making shit up anyway. She's just believing 𝗺cie panties. She didn't like Karen, long story. She was jealous of her, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so she's like telling me this and I'm like, okay, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. Because I'm like, what's this inadmissible evidence? Let me guess. They claim there's something in the phone between her and David Yannetti, right? I'm guessing that's what else would be inadmissible. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, have you seen it? Well, no, of course I haven't. So this is what they're telling you and you're just believing it. Okay, Jane, sounds good. Anyway, so this is the story they say. So Reed told me about a rumor that there's text between her and her lawyers in which she implicates herself. Text that police supposedly read when they confiscated her phone but that will never be released because they're privileged. Proctor, the state trooper himself, referenced an exchange on the stand saying he stopped looking through her phone when he saw messages between Reed and an attorney. But Reed and Yannetti each point out they didn't communicate until after police seized her phone and her car. She had no time. I didn't even have a cell number for David until several hours after Proctor left with my phone. I never texted him. So the phone that they took, she had never messaged David on. Never. And they have not returned that phone to her either, I believe. Because if they did, because Proctor testified on the stand that he came across messages between her and Yannetti, and he had to stop going through it. Except if they return that phone to her, they're going to see that, wait, there's no messages between her and Yannetti on that phone. So he just lied, because this is what honest cops do. They just lie on the stand in murder trials. Right. But besides that, the integrity, this investigation had a lot of integrity. Reed had poured over tens of thousands of pages of legal filings and police reports. She played the waterfall security vision, scanned every text for buried clues. What did he feel? Okay, was he freezing? The Facebook post, she went down a rabbit holes on Facebook posts where Proctor with various family members, even a post where Proctor's mom called Colin and Chris Albert her second family. Actually, that was me that found that one. Credit where credit's due. A courtesy to the family. I think this is the end. Hold on. When the trial began in April, meanwhile, Adam Lalli, a prosecutor, has worked for the Norfolk County DA's office since 2010, assured the court that Proctor had no conflicts. These are not people that know each other, Lalli said. The prosecution produced 68 witnesses, at least 9 of whom were related to Albert by blood or marriage. Reed had 6, including a snowplow driver employed by Canton. Lalli did not respond to their questions, of course. Leading up to the trial, our team struggled to get basic discovery items like crime scene photos. Even that was a fight, said Elizabeth Little. We did numerous discovery requests. We filed a motion to compel. We were given JPEG copies of photographs of zero metadata that were blurry and useless. After 7 months of litigation, it comes out that they don't have the original photos. They came from a phone. The phone doesn't exist anymore. Initially, you'd think it's incompetence, but the more we dug, the more we realized that stuff we were looking at was never gathered in the first place or was being intentionally withheld. It became hard to believe it was all an accident or a mistake. Proctor seemed problematically conflicted from the outset. The investigator appeared in social media photos with various Alberts and McCabe's dating back to 2012. Though Proctor seized his car and phone on the day of 𝗃𝗍's death, he did not interview Colin for another year and 6 months, and only after the only time he talked to him was when he was investigating me. That's the first time he talked to him, to investigate me. Then the interview went unrecorded. His sister, Courtney, is such a good friends with the Albert sister-in-law, Julie, that they shared 67 phone calls I forgot about that. 67 calls in the 7 months after Reed's first arrest. On the day of Reed's first arrest, Courtney texted Proctor that an Albert family member said, when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift. That family member was Julie Albert. Proctor asked that she get his wife a thank you gift instead. Unbelievable. On the day Karen's arrested, in which their son was not interviewed at all or questioned or treated as a suspect. Forget about the allegations of victim being killed inside the house, said Doug Louison, a Boston defense attorney who's represented law enforcement for 4 decades, but is not working on the Reed case. He, like many legal analysts, believes that Reed should never have been tried for second-degree murder. As soon as these people who Proctor was acquainted with were identified as witnesses, he should have dropped out of the case. It was a system failure by the state police. Exactly. That's it. That's all we need to know that this case was crooked. How much he knew these people. They're not just friends, they're family. Instead, Proctor declared Reed guilty via text the day he started his investigation. Oh, this is so well written. About 6 months later, while the probe was underway, Proctor and Albert's brother Kevin, the Canton cop, went out drinking. The next day, Proctor texted Kevin that he left his badge in Proctor's cruiser. Kevin responded, "Did I take my gun?" Oh. On the morning of January 29th, when McCabe's phone 911 call about O'Keefe was being found on the front lawn, it was Kevin's Canton Police Department co-workers who responded. One called 2 off-duty officers to report to the scene, including Michael Lank, who had known the Albert brothers since childhood. In 2002, while Lank was off-duty drinking, he ran to Chris Albert, who told him he'd been harassed by a pair of brothers, the Lapalatos. Lank got into a fist fight, summoned the police backup, punched one of the alleged assailants in the face, and was accused of spitting in the face of another while he was handcuffed. Lank settled a federal case, but testified that he would have come to similar defense for a civilian. Before police stepped into the Albert home on the morning of O'Keefe's death, they sent McCabe inside to wake up its residents. Did they send her inside? I thought she just went. She sneaks in there at 6:34 like 𝗺𝗄𝗏. Then they interviewed McCabe and the Alberts together for about 10 minutes without recording the conversation or searching the house. The officer said they had no reason to believe that O'Keefe had been inside, except for the fact that he's dead on the front lawn and he's missing a shoe. The Commonwealth's key physical evidence was the taillight. And I love how they point this out. No piece of Reed's car was found during a daylight search on January 29th after a bit snow had been cleared from the yard with a leaf blower. Again, needs to be stated because it's not said enough. They always say, well, how'd the taillight get there? What taillight? There was no taillight. They searched at 6 or 7 o'clock, whatever that was. They cleared it all out, and not a single one of these motherfuckers found a single piece of taillight. Period. Reed, her family, and a Dighton police officer who witnessed Proctor seizing the car hours later say that Reed's taillight was only cracked at that point. Love that. Damage, she said, was inflicted when she backed out of O'Keefe's garage to search him and bumped into his SUV, which was caught on O'Keefe's security camera. Despite Proctor's affidavit declaring he picked up Reed's car at 5:30, and I love how they include this, Dighton police and the Reed security camera showed that he took the car at 4:12, a time to which the Commonwealth conceded a year and a half later. But, remember, they stuck with that lie. There's a picture of the car being towed at 4:12. And no, it was towed at 5:30. It says 4:12 right here on the alarm.com thing. Daylight savings. Daylight savings? What? So it was really 5:12, but the sun sets at 4:56 and the sun out in this. So how could it be 5:12? What? And wouldn't daylight savings put it back to 3:12? What the fuck? That makes no sense, dude. So they eventually just abandoned that. And they're like, after Barrows came forward and it's like, bro, my report says I towed the car at 4:15. They're like, oh, Scrivener's error. We're abandoning that one. Pretend we never said anything. Forget all about that. After her Lexus was in law enforcement custody, she believes her taillight was completely smashed. It wasn't until Proctor greenlit the state emergency response team. Remember, they all they're dick in their hands. They're waiting for, can we get started on this or not? And they're like, no, Proctor, for some reason, hasn't said we could. And then when he finally said we could, and we still don't know who was on the CERT team because it sounds like a random posse of random dudes. Maybe one of them is Kevin Albert. Who knows? All of a sudden, Proctor's like, look over there. See, just look there, there, and there. And everywhere he told them to look, there was taillight. Okay. Ken Berkowitz found his own taillight while driving by. Okay. No evidence was found until they got that taillight. Again, this is the search. Oh, there it is. Again, they don't even have video or pictures of when the taillight was found. They just put it on top of the snow pile like a trophy afterwards. So, and then they talk about Lucky Loughran, how he passed the house a second time at 3:15 and saw the Ford Edge. This was unusual because the Albert family normally does not park on the street, and it's standard protocol for him to call in a vehicle on that side of the road. He says, as a courtesy to the Alberts, who he has known for decades, He didn't call it in. So that's, notice what she doesn't mention there, how like during the trial, Tully testifies that like, we just didn't believe him. We didn't find it credible. We didn't look into it. What? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. All right. So we're definitely not gonna have time to do the podcast breakdown. I might do a special show tomorrow night because of that. What do you guys think? You guys like an extra show? Maybe we could do one tomorrow night or something like that. And we'll see. And we're gonna have more. I can't wait to read part 2 tomorrow, man. It's gonna be great. Part 2 is gonna come tomorrow. It's gonna be awesome. Waking up and reading that, dude. I mean, obviously that's the part about me, so I'm excited about reading about it. Like, how are they did she like me? Is she gonna portray me in a good light, or is she gonna be like that cunt Gretchen Voss? Like, I don't mind. I'm like one of those like any attention is good attention people. Like people are mad that like I didn't get like they said the Dateline kind of portrayed me as like a clown, an instigator, whatever, dude. I fucking loved it. I was on Dateline, bro. There was like they had a whole commercial to commercial thing about me. That's fucking awesome. Like, you can't buy that kind of publicity. Like, that's dope. So I don't care how they portray me, quite frankly. I mean, it would be cool if they were like told the truth and it's like, actually, this guy's like a really serious journalist. He's breaking major stories. Oh, and that's what we should share here. Let me share this. We got to share this. This spot. Look at these motherfuckers. This Paulo Grift. Remember Paulo Grift was saying, his exact quote was that they're like, through the first trial, all these people were outside and Karen was, but we kept quiet. Like it was strategic. We kept quiet. Now it's time to talk and people need to understand the truth. He said this on like July 3rd. Okay, Paul, go ahead. Let's talk. Has anyone heard from Paulo Grift since then? Has anybody? I mean, he messaged me drunk one night and said, I'm going to end up in jail. And then we agreed to go on a double date golfing. Right. But I don't think Paulo Grift has ever since come out and talked about like the whole truth. Like, let's hear it, Paul, because there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. Meanwhile, Karen keeps fucking talking. She's been on Dateline. She's been on 2020. She made an appearance on Turtleboy tonight, calling Scanlon an asshole. That happened. And spoke with Vanity Fair. But Paulo Grift didn't. Cat's got his tongue. And this motherfucker, this stupid leprechaun fuck, Brendan Kane, listen to this guy.
Throughout this 2-month trial.
This is the only reporter I didn't like who I worked with every day. He's just a douchebag. David Bieniek, I don't even know. He works for WCVB. He's just asking the stupidest questions. And just listen to this interview with Brendan Kane's his name.
Karen Reed and her family, they regularly spoke with reporters outside the courthouse, but Officer John O'Keefe's friends and family, they have remained largely silent until now. Badge number. For the past 2 years, Brendan Kane has worn a baseball cap with John O'Keefe's badge number printed on the front and his initials on the back. And how often do you wear it? Constantly. Kane says he and O'Keefe met at the age of 4, and along with O'Keefe's younger brother Paul, all grew up together on the same street in Braintree. Kane says O'Keefe was in his wedding party, and at O'Keefe's funeral, he helped carry his casket.
Who else is that? Who else is there? Carl's there. I don't recognize a couple others.
The last time I saw him was about 3 weeks before he passed. We actually went to a Bruins game together.
Okay.
My wife and I, and he and Karen.
Kane says that was the one and only time he met Karen Reed, and that he never saw or heard about any trouble in the couple's relationship.
I feel like I was fooled.
By whom?
Fooled?
By Karen.
Kane says...
How was he fooled? How? How are you fooled? You met her once 3 weeks ago and you were fooled? How are you fooled? No, but you know what, Brendan? You were fooled by the McAlberts, you fucking idiot. You look like a fucking clown, you stupid leprechaun fuck. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, boy? I met her once. Yeah. Oh, he's real good friends with John. I met his girlfriend once. Oh. Okay. You real close, pal.
He started to have suspicions even before Reed was arrested. He says he never believed Reed's defense story that someone else killed his friend and the police covered it up.
There's no evidence. There's absolutely no evidence to support the false narrative that they spread across the internet
Cain said
there's no evidence. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? There's no evidence of a cover-up. There's a Google search for 227, dude. How long to die in cold? There's John's phone going up and down 3 flights of stairs. There's common sense that not a single person in that house saw, heard anything, didn't come out of the house, that Chloe's gone. Like, there's so much fucking evidence. Like, what do you, there's no evidence. What? I mean, every time these people, no wonder they don't talk. Every time they talk, they sound retarded. All of them, like retarded. And I can't wait when this eventually comes crashing down. They're going to feel, and like, how about Arca? Yeah. How about the Arca guys? Anything to say to that? He defends Proctor here too.
That with family members during several days of the trial and watched the rest of it on TV. He says police were faced with a challenging crime scene covered in snow, but could have handled the case better.
Michael Proctor could have written text messages that he didn't know would go public, that he regrets sending, and that does not nullify the evidence that says that Johnny was hit by Alexis.
Johnny, it's just like, oh, and there's Ginny Sack too. But he could, like, all these people do is make excuses for Proctor. How are you not more angry with Michael Proctor? If Karen was actually guilty, she would get away with it because of Proctor. All right. And this guy's up here it doesn't matter. He didn't know those messages were going to get released. Yeah, motherfucker. And don't you think it's odd that the FBI made sure that they were? Don't you think that's odd? What do you think that's telling you, my dude? What the FBI thinks is happening? And I got bad news for you, man. The federal investigation is far from over. If you think this federal investigation's over, you're out of your fucking mind. I know, like, it's definitely not over. No fucking way this is over. Period. And the FBI is not wasting their time.
O'Keefe's friends and family are now preparing themselves for a second trial, including the possibility that it might be moved to another part of the state. Cain says he hopes that the next jury will see the story differently.
The real story is a simple one. It is a simple, uninteresting story. And it doesn't get clicks. It doesn't get views. It doesn't get ratings.
There's actually nothing simple about that. There's nothing simple about explaining how those injuries came from a car accident. That's actually not simple. That's impossible, as the ARCA expert said. The simple explanation is the obvious one. He went in the house, got beat up, and they threw him on the lawn because they didn't want to go to jail. Columbo up in this bitch. There, figured it out.
The conspiracy, this false narrative of a cover-up, that's what gets attention.
All right. Now here it is.
Brendan Cain says one thing will definitely be different during a second trial of Karen Read. He says he and other friends and family of John O'Keefe will be speaking out a lot more often.
Oh, the speaking out a lot more often. This is in goddamn July 3rd. Haven't heard a fucking peep from Brendan Cain since then. Not a peep. And Vanity Fair is doing this, which is a major publication, is doing this huge story. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. No, just let Karen be the only one that talks. That's what we want to do. Wonder why. I wonder why he was like that. And again, last thing we'll show here. Oh, and by the way, like that. So this is what we'll end with here. Okay. This is even better. Like how this shit didn't make it in the article was like, holy shit. When I saw this, I'm like, whoa, bombshells. Let's play this.
Karen Read's murder trial captivated much of Massachusetts and the internet. I'm Julie Miller. I spent 3 days with Karen Read shortly after her trial ended with a hung jury. And these are some of the most shocking things I learned about her and her case. Shortly after O'Keefe's death, she went to his house where John's family also was. Karen claims that when she asked John's family, how did he look? What did he look like? She claims that John's brother Paul said, he looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson. Almost immediately after, John's mom said, according to Karen, I think he looks like he got hit by a car. John's family denies that exchange happened the way that Karen explains it. But Karen says that after that alleged conversation, that is the moment she realized she was viewed as a suspect. Since John O'Keefe's murder, Karen's gone to pretty extreme lengths to prove her innocence. The Albert family sold their house in 2023. A source close to Albert told me that that had nothing to do with the case. That was because the house was simply too big for the family since their children were grown. But once the house was sold, Karen's detective was able to get a hold of all the carpeting that the new owners were getting rid of that had been in the house when the Alberts owned it. Since then, she's
Well, that's interesting. Since then, what?
been paying for a temperature-controlled storage unit to store this rug, this carpeting, in the hopes that she can one day swab it for DNA or for blood. I asked her what that would cost. She said that it's about $5,000 per swab, and she has no idea where on that carpet John's DNA might be. So at this point, everything is a game of calculus in terms of where she puts her expenses.
Everything is a game of calculus in terms of how she uses her expenses. So, you know, $5,000 a swab, and she's got all this carpeting, and people are like, well, why hasn't she done this? You know, like what, you know, why hasn't she had it tested yet? It's like, cause there's only so much money, you know, there's only so much money. And I've seen a lot of people ask the question, has the FBI asked to look at the carpet? And we'll see. We'll see about that, won't we? But I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about details of the federal investigation. And I certainly don't know anything about the FBI asking Karen Reed if they can test DNA samples on that carpet. I don't know anything about it. So go on. What else happened? What else did you find out?
Another critical point of contention in the case has been a Google search that Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, did the morning of John O'Keefe's death. Karen's expert found that she had Google searched 𝗺cie long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. The timestamp is incredibly important because 2:27 a.m. would indicate that she knew John's body was out in the lawn.
Okay, but we know this. Okay, but we know this. So do you have anything to add, Julie?
The Commonwealth had several experts testifying, though, that the timestamp didn't actually indicate the time of the search. She could have opened the tab to search at 2:27, but she didn't search until after 6 a.m., as she says happened.
Okay. So maybe we're right back where we started. Did you find out anything else, Julie? Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about? Did you discover anything in your reporting? Please tell us.
I was able to find a forensic computer expert to look at the information that the prosecution's experts and Reed's expert had gathered. He came to his own independent conclusion, saying that the search did happen at 2:27 a.m. In addition to talking to Karen, I also spoke to her family, her friends. I spoke to a juror on the trial. If you want to read more from my reports,
I want to read more.
Go to vanityfair.com.
Yeah, I want to read about Turtleboy. Yeah. Wow. Well, isn't that's journalism, folks, right there. Shout out to Julie. Great job. And so the two things that we saw, that obviously the Google search thing, dude. And you know what gets the federal, this didn't come up at trial, and I'm not sure why. But remember in pre-trial, they said as part of the FBI investigation, they had a Quantico trained expert determine that the Google search did happen. So it was 2-2 at that point. Now it's 3-2. And the difference between their experts, Ian Whiffen and Jessica Hyde, they were handpicked by the Commonwealth. Like they went searching until they could find some guy trying to sell an app, Ian Whiffen, called ArtX. And he'll do it and be like, this never happened. It's debunked, as they say. Well, Vanity Fair doesn't give a shit. They didn't go searching for somebody looking for a conclusion. The Commonwealth was looking for an expert who would say what they wanted. Ian Whiffen was probably like 50th on their list. They just went down the list until they found somebody. God knows how many people told them something they didn't want to hear. But Vanity Fair and the FBI don't give a shit. They're just going to hire an unbiased expert, and both of them said that the Google search happened. How can she walk around with that? Like how, if you're Peggy O'Keefe or Paul O'Keefe. It's like, bro, another person said it happened. It's like 3 fucking people. They can't all be wrong, can they? Nope, they must be in on the conspiracy. The conspiracy to frame Jennifer McCabe. Okay. So this is yet another person. Like, that alone should, like, if there's any doubt that Jennifer McCabe might have done that, like, bro, how is the whole, how can you walk? How can you show your face anywhere if there's people that think you might have done this? Like, that's fucking crazy. Crazy, bro. So we'll end with this note here. What a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't even know this either till I heard that clip. I'm like, holy shit, I solved another mystery. Because real talk, on May, I went back in my phone and I found this today. On May 23rd, I was sent this video from outside of Fairview Road. Okay? 34 Fairview Road. And there's a van in the driveway with the door open. You hear all that work going on in the background. Listen to the buzzsaw. And something's going on. And so, like, somebody sends me this because I got sauces. People, I got the sauces. And so I got this video. And obviously, one of the first things I do is I send it to Karen Reed's attorneys, because I'm like, you might be interested in this. There's some work being done outside of that. And they're always looking for tips like this because they have to do all the police work themselves. And what does Alan Jackson and Karen Reed do, and David Yannetti and Liza Little? What do? They call Paul Makowski up, their PI, a former Medford cop, and I give him the license plate. And Paul Makowski's a PI, so he can run the plate. Now, when Janelle Webb ran a license plate to find out information about a car parked outside of a house, she was indicted for conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. And so was I when we did that to Jennifer McCabe's. So, like, running license plates is like, it's not a fucking crime. You're just like, who does the car belong to that's here? That's all you're trying to find out. And so he wanted to know, who does this car belong to? And then he tracks down, it's some contractor in Dorchester, independent guy, and they track him down and they go, what were you getting in there? He's like, oh, I was just taking the carpets out. Oh, do you have them? Sure. I was going to throw them out. You want them? Yeah, definitely. And then they go and get them. And Karen has stored those ever since. And they're being tested for DNA. And I did that. I mean, not to suck my own dick or anything like that, but like, real talk. This is a major, like, this is what I mean by, like, I'm not just some clown out there looking for attention. It's like, I'm actually breaking stories. Like, this is big. The contents of this rug, if there is if they find any part of John's DNA anywhere on those carpets, anywhere, it's over. It's over. Like, there's no explanation for how John's DNA would end up on those carpets, period. Again, they're not looking for blood or lumina, because this isn't the carpet from the basement. It's carpet from another part of the house. And I did that. You know, that's real effective journalism right there, folks. And again, it's like, I might sound cocky doing that, but I got to call it as I see it. And that was A+ reporting right there. So it is what it is. Okay. Didn't the feds take the bulkhead? Oh my God. No, they didn't. Again, guys, please, if you want real news, just come to me. Okay. It's like, if the feds took the bulkhead, you wouldn't fucking know about it because they wouldn't tell you, right? The same way that, like, the owners of the house didn't come and sit in court with the Reeds, did they? Didn't happen. And you know, what else didn't happen? Oh yeah, John O'Keefe's dad didn't sit with the Reeds. That didn't happen, did it? And the bulkhead was not taken. Okay, it wasn't fucking taken. Like, it never fucking happened. And when you hear shit like this, you should be like, I need evidence. And if you don't see the evidence, then you shouldn't believe it. I mean, I shouldn't have to give people a crash course into vetting sources. But like if I bring receipts, okay, that's what I always bring, receipts. And if you're hearing this shit like that, oh, they took the bulkhead. Well, that's pretty big fucking news. You should be like, how do I know that's true? How do I know that's true? Like, I thought Wanless was going to crack this case open. Like, you know, you should ask like for evidence of shit, you know? But anyway, yeah, I can't wait for part 2, man. I cannot wait for part 2. Yeah, he showed him the bulkhead door because he's trying to explain, like, if you wanted to get a body out without being detected, you could use that bulkhead door. That's why they're showing the bulkhead door. Because they wanted to put it in the jurors' minds, like, oh, they could have done it this way without being seen. And that would make sense, right? Get him out of the basement, get him right out the house, and sneak him out the gate. Park a Ford Edge right there so nobody sees. Done. All right. So let's read some turtle chat, shall we? Bradford sends $25 and says, if they spray the carpet, they can use black light to see where DNA is. Then swab those areas. Okay, Bradford, give him a call. Let him know. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the donation. John sends $15 and goes, Haas long until the Commonwealth subpoenas Vanity Fair's records regarding this interview in the hopes Karen actually confessed and Vanity Fair left it out of the published article. I'm sorry. That's fucking hilarious. I love humor like that because that is exactly what they did with Gretchen Voss. And it's just like they are so pathetic. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Like, people like that. How about this one about like, how do you think Brian Albert got a shoulder injury? Well, he must have got it from killing John O'Keefe, right? Like, come on, guys. Come on. Jesus Christ. What are we doing here? All right. Candace Mack sends $10 and says, Texas Turtle Rider here. Wondering, will you have more insightful Better-O letters to come? Yes. Out soon before your next court date. Free Turtleboy. Probably we'll have more letters coming because there's more we need to get out there. We still have not heard back from Cosgrove yet, the prosecutor, nor have we heard from the district attorney's office, or have they responded to the fact that the dude used a burner email. Like, come on. All right. Shaylin sends $5 and goes, Vanity Fair said in a TikTok they had their own forensic analyst review the 227 search and it didn't occur. Exactly. Video Jesus sends $25 and goes, appreciated your help on refreshing my memory of how I knew Plevin from the bartending scene from your reporting. 𝗄𝗏𝗄𝗃 and I are excited to chat on Thursday. Oh, that's right. Yes. Make an announcement. I'm going on with 𝗄𝗏𝗄𝗃 Insider. Just thought of, I'm going to message 𝗄𝗏𝗄𝗃 Insider after this. Thank you. But yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. Video Jesus. Thank you. Jess sends $50 and says, thank you for your relentless investigation. Free Karen Reed, free Turtleboy, justice for John and Sandra and Enrique, and hashtag free the closet baby. Yes. Yes. Get that baby out of there. Thank you. Kelly Gerber sends $5 and then $10 and says, my mom would never excuse herself to frame a murder. And what's happening with Sean? I don't really give a shit what's happening with Sean, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm not going to delve into that. Sean's going to do his thing and go on his YouTube channel and talk and hope he entertains you guys, because that's what he is to me, is entertainment. So, and I have nothing else to say on the matter. So thank you. Courtney sends $10 and goes, thank you for all you do. Keep exposing these pieces of crap. My pleasure. Nessa sends $5 and goes, shout out to Patty Cakes. Love you, girl. Shout out Patty Cakes. Loudmouse sends $10 and goes, not that anybody cares, but it's funny. I had to hang up on missing dentures because the bukkake was attracting unwanted attention in comments on non-Karen channels. Ha! I'm opinionated in 410. R.I.P. Bukkake's missing dentures. Okay, thank you, Loudmouth. Loudmouse. Larry Bird sends $5 and goes, Haley, who's been accurate, said Proctor family is responsible for the Turtleboy entrapment plan, not Tully. He just executed it. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. So thank you. Kelly Gerber sends $10 and goes, love Under Armour. Okay. Thank you. Collins Kankle sends $10 and goes, Plevin shops at the Blouse Barn. I don't know what the Blouse Barn is, but it's funny. It's funny, and I can imagine him being there. Big N sends $5 and goes, after all this time, it took the Dateline or 2020 special for me to realize that was my first time ever hearing Karen Reed's voice. Okay. Thank you very much. Kelly Gerber sends $10 and goes, hi to Meredith and Trump. Okay. Week from today, by the way, is the election. And Haley had a good comment today that we're about to have some. Haley had a good tweet today saying we're about to have some really polarizing content in the next week because of this election. But don't forget, Karen Reed was framed and is completely innocent. Katie sends $10 and goes, sorry, this is off topic, but it's bugged me. There's no way to prove that she didn't consume alcohol when she got to John O'Keefe's that night, which means the blood alcohol limit they calculated was driving is invalid. There should not be a count 2. It's actually count 3 that you're thinking of. You mean the manslaughter charge? Well, she didn't get a DUI. So I don't think you have to be drunk to get a manslaughter. But thank you very much. Jen's Snatch. That's a fun name. Sends $10 and goes, we all know Colin McNuckles produced the fake text messages, but why is no one talking about Higgy's fake text messages? Lally tried to quickly hide it on the big screen, but if you pause it, you can see Higgy's doctored date and time. Innocent people don't produce fake documents. I don't know about that because those were actually from Cellbrite, Jen Snatch. So I'm not sure about that. Thank you. Loudmouse sends $25 and goes, it breaks my heart that Karen Reed and the kids had such a loving and bonding relationship with Karen, and the aftermath of what these selfish monsters did to them is absolutely atrocity. Exactly. A-Rod Rodriguez sends 10 and goes, complete respect for Tom D. I think that's DeRozier for being out there since day one. Scott McGinnis also always out there with a big smile. Yeah, I mean, shout out to both of them. I mean, Scott's at everything with his sign, and Tommy D is always out there with his camera and his GoPro. They kill it, man. They do great work. A lot of people do great work out there. It's great to see. Wendy Sue sends $10 and goes, I believe God put Karen in this position to bring justice for Enrique and Sandra. Yeah, I mean, she did deliver justice for Sandra. We don't get justice for Sandra without the Karen Reed case getting highlighted. And the feds are like, whoa, while we're here, let's look into this one. Oh, shit, that's fucked up. And to bring light to all the corruption. He knew it would take someone with balls of steel and great integrity to be able to handle this. Yes, and faith. And faith, too. Suzanne sends $25 and goes, why didn't they refer Vanity Fair to their spokesperson, Krusty? I don't know. They did that with Gretchen Voss. That's how they became friends. So there's that. Steve sends $10 and goes, here's $10 to rip the tag off your earphones. Yeah, I know. It's distracting as fuck. I know, bro. This is, can it come off? I'll just get some scissors after this. Yeah, that is. I've been noticing that too. Thanks, Steve. Good looks. Melissa sends $25, says, Ernie has a big butt, and I cannot lie. Okay. Turd Ferguson sends $25 and says, Ernie has a big butt, and I cannot lie. Okay. Captain of the Sex Cult Goblins sends $20 and says, hey, Big Daddy, have you missed me? Anyway, as captain of the squad, is it possible to do a turtle club with the old days like a freestyle and food stamp Friday as a walk down memory lane? P.S. Love you a bunch. 413 stand up. Yeah, maybe we could do something like that. But I appreciate that. Captain of the Sex Cult Goblins. Got some turtle chats on the phone here to bang through real quick. Want to make sure we get everyone. Drea sends $10 and goes, what are your kids dressing as for Halloween? Honestly, I forget. Something scary and stupid and not original. whatever it is. Like I forget something scary. I mean, I'm keeping real. If my kids' costumes are unoriginal, stupid, I'm gonna say it. Like when I was a kid, I had dope costumes. Like I came up with good ideas and shit. I didn't get costumes from ordering in a catalog or going to a store. We couldn't afford that shit. We had to get a little bit creative, you know. We threw on basketball jerseys and said we were in the NBA. That's what we did. All right. Didn't fucking matter. You'll never go to a single house. And it was in Worcester too. There's a lot of ratchet kids in Worcester. And what I mean by ratchet is kids just showing up with no fucking costumes. A lot of that in Worcester. When I got older and you'd start handing out the candy, you're like, you motherfuckers aren't even going to put an effort in. And it was always like the 14-year-olds, just give me fucking candy. They wouldn't bring a bag. They would have a pillowcase, you know? Because, I mean, it's an investment. Like the more candy you get, trick-or-treating in Worcester was good. Like, because the houses are closer together. Time is of the essence when you're trick-or-treating. You got to hit as many houses as you can. You can't be wasting time walking between houses, you know? So there's that. All right. Nancy sends 25 and goes, for Test the Carpet Fund. Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Jenna sends 10 and goes, thank you for all you do. Love the quacks in the intro. I know. Shout out to Voos. Voos is our guy. He does the intro. He made that amazing. He also did the original version of it. So shout out to my guy Voos. Jenna sends, no, it's Jenna. Tiffany sends $5. Has no comment. Thank you, Tiffany. Dawn Marie sends 25 and goes, Brandy interview was raw. XO from Southie. Spent a month there one night. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I really enjoyed doing that interview with Brandy. Kept it real. You know, people saw a different side of me with that. Carrie sends $20 and goes, Karen can send Sean an emoji. Too soon. Carrie, but she paid for it, so I'm going to read it. That's what she says. Carrie, can you send Sean an emoji? I mean, that would solve everything, wouldn't it? It would be good. Thank you. She also sends 20 and says, thanks. Carrie also sends 20 and says, thanks for joining the chat, Karen. Stay strong. It was nice for Karen Reed to make an appearance using a real name. She's getting bigger balls these days. Like, she wouldn't have done this a year ago. She doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like, I like this when she's just whatever, not hiding any. That's what I mean. She's a fucking tough ass bitch. I'll give her that. Callie sends $20 and goes, cowards are the most dangerous people in the world. I don't think they're that dangerous, but thank you, Callie. I appreciate that. CDaz sends $5 and goes, Jen crooked as her teeth, lies as big as KP's nose. Yeah, and they make fun of my nose. Have you seen Catherine Peters' nose? Yikes. Okay. Let me just refresh the turtle chats. I don't want to miss anyone. Julie G sends $10 and goes, I love your shows. Keep on fighting the fight from a Turtle-roo in Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne. I think that's home of which one? Oh, there's two Turtle-roos. Not the kangaroo. Miss Shorty. Miss Shorty's from Melbourne. Right. Thank you. Collins Cankles sends $10 and goes, Plevin's blouse barn equals Schitt's Creek. Go Irish. Thank you, Collins Cankles. Go Irish indeed. We're in the top 10, baby. We moved up like 4 spots. We passed 2 undefeated teams, Iowa State and BYU, and we got no one left that's good. We got Florida State. They're like fucking Worcester State might beat Florida State. They're so bad. You know, like Bridgewater State, if they had Colin Albert, maybe, you know, but they don't because he done murdered someone, or at least was involved in a murder. I don't know if he delivered the fatal blow. But yeah, go Irish. Thank you. Beth sends $10 and goes, love all you do. What you have accomplished since breaking this injustice is impressive. Well, thank you, Beth. And it's my pleasure. And, you know, I'm here to pleasure all you fine people. You know, it's my pleasure to pleasure you. Not in a sexual way, although for some maybe, right? But in a stimulating way, you know, as a intellectually, journalistically, etc. So, anyway, that is, oh no, one more Cash App here. Tiffany, she sent that earlier one. I think she's got a comment this time. Or no, Charlie sends $10 and goes, Charlie sends $10 and goes, "We appreciate you, Daddy." So you see, it sticks. It sticks. Some people don't mind, or sticking to that one. So I appreciate that. All right. Anybody else before we call it a night? Worcester State, shout out. Yeah, Hot Pockets. I don't know what is the best nickname for Beth Resendez, but they're all good. Like, I've never had a situation like this before where I'm like, we got 3 good nicknames for her. We got, Mega Beth, which is just fucking awesome. Mega Beth, like, it's just Mega Beth. It works on so many levels. And then Hot Pockets, like, that's fucking hilarious. Your nickname is Hot Pockets. And then just good old Big Fat Beth. I mean, BFB. It's a nice ring to Big Fat Beth. There's so many good nicknames. I've never, like, it's almost unfair. And I'm like, because we don't even have a good, I mean, Jen McCabe's nickname is Horseface. That's not as good as any of those 3. None of those 3 compare to like Horseface is just like, yeah, it's funny, but it's not as good as Big Fat Beth or Mega Beth or Hot Pockets. Like, they're all good. So no, Turtle Club. That's what I got to get back to 𝗺cie Insider. I totally forgot that Halloween. I told her I'd go on Thursday at 8. That can't happen because it's Halloween and I got trick or treat. It won't be done by then. So we'll talk after this, 𝗺cie Insider. I really want to come on your program because I actually really enjoy your content. I really enjoy your content. Actually, I think you do some good You're funny. You're a funny fuck. Whoever you are, 𝗺cie, you turtle roo. But anyway, anybody else have anything to say? Macbeth? Not Macbeth, McTooth. Yeah. I mean, but Mega, I like Mega Beth. Because she's mega. She's mega. Everything about her is mega. Come on. So I'm going to do Sex Cult Friday. Sex Cult Friday is going to be this week. So there's that to answer that question. Karen better send me a Halloween emoji. Send it on over to poor Richie. He misses you. She will always be Megabeth to me. It's like I can't compete with Megabeth. I can't compete with it. But one more chat from Tracy sends $5 and goes, SM points were valid. He's just pissed. Bad delivery. I don't think they were, but I'm not going to get into that. So thank you very much. All right, guys. Well, we're going to call it a night then, and we will see you guys all for the next episode. You know what? I think tomorrow the new thing's coming out. Probably 98% chance we do a stream tomorrow night. 98% chance. We'll leave it at that. All right. So anyway, guys, we will hopefully see you then. I love you people. Have a great night. Thanks for all your support. And we'll talk soon. All right. Peace, Turtle Riders.